right, guys. Yeah, we're updating equipment every week for you guys, trying to make it a better experience. I'm working on a big easel whiteboard, but I couldn't get one in time. So today I'm just working off the little one here to kind of illustrate some points. But I think you guys are going to like today. So the feedback from last week was everybody, I think, loved novations. If you don't know novations and never done a novation, I would very much encourage you guys to go back, listen to that one, because everything we're kind of doing today builds upon that. And we guys, like always, we always try to just break down like the teaching part of it, so you learn the tactics. But I'm hoping what we do different than maybe other people is like, we're gonna show it to you, then we're gonna go start like executing on it and calling sellers and like showing you how it's pitched, right? If you guys stayed on for the whole call last week, I talked about exactly like I literally made live calls to innovations. I showed you how I position it with the cash offer and the novation offer. So today, guys, there was a lot of questions last week, which you guys teed me up perfectly, right? What I'm talking about today is actually, I love novations. We do a lot of them, but this has definitely been my favorite over the last year. We've made, honestly, our company has probably made, I would venture to guess 50% of our profit have come from deals just like this that I'm showing you today. Because it's all about, well, if you're doing a novation, but you need to put money into it. Like you need to put, like my threshold is $10,000. If I'm putting over 10,000, I'm gonna go with this way, right? But I like a lot of the crux is you've got this great property that you could go help the seller, but it's gonna require a lot of money. The other crux, which I didn't even hit last week, and I'm gonna talk today, guys, is maybe you need a private money lender, right? Maybe, and if you're doing a novation, there's not a very good way to secure your private money lender, unless they just know you and trust you. And they're like, you know what? I trust Casey, he's gonna get this done, even though I have zero security. What I'm gonna show you today, guys, is you could actually secure your private money lender and actually use a private money lender to go do these deals and do bigger size flips, okay? So I'm gonna start right there. Anybody, I wanna ask you guys, like, who's a fix and flipper? Raise your hand. Any fix and flippers out there? Or who's done a fix and flip? Anybody out there? Raise some hands. All right, I see one. I see a couple. John's done some. And what do you guys, so anybody who's done, Dustin's done it, Phil. So what, of those of you guys who've done a fix and flip, how much profit, what do you guys typically shoot for a profit on a fix and flip? Feel free to throw it in the chat. Because everyone, typically fix and flippers I've worked with, they all have a number. They're like, if I don't make 20,000 or 30,000 or 50,000, there we go. Yep. Joe Takai, 30K. Scott, 10%. 10% of ARV. I like it. Okay. Usually dollar for dollar with the reno. Okay, I like that one too. Joe Takai. Okay. Yeah, I like that one too. Dustin, I've only done one. He wanted 10%, didn't get it. Okay. That's where it's gonna come in today too, is like flips are risky. Inherently, they're very risky, but what I'm gonna show you guys is we de-risk almost, I mean, it's not completely de-risk, but this is about as low risk of a flip as you can get. Phil said he made 60K, right? So you guys know there are some people, I'm in masterminds where they're talking about making these 100K profits and they're doing these high-end houses. And guys, really, this is what allowed us to start taking some big swings at flips. Because fundamentally, or kind of going back to it, fixing and flipping has a lot of risk, right? You, especially like, if anybody's ever done a flip and opened up a wall or watched a HGTV show, that stuff is real. Like, you have no idea what you're walking into, and it's always more than you think. And then the other thing is the seasonality, guys. I can't tell you, even, especially in today, I mean, this happened to me 5 or 6 years ago in Dallas-Fort Worth when I figured, oh, we're in Texas. It's warm. Not up in Wyoming where it gets really cold and everybody hibernates in the winter. Like, we're in Texas. Like, people are still going to be out buying houses in October, November, December. Well, little did I know, the market shrinks and it cuts down significantly. It typically picks back up January, February. But if your flip finishes in October and now you got to go put on the market right at the end of October and Halloween and you're coming up on Thanksgiving and then it's Christmas, like you better be prepared to sit on the market, right? So these are just all the different risks that comes with flipping. So what I want to show you guys today is go kind of tell a story of how we set up this deal in particular and how we make, so our goal to answer, I'm going to answer my own question. If we're doing a fix and flip, I want to make at least $50,000, right? If we're going to spend all, and this is net, right? This is after all of my team and everybody's paid, right? Like we want to make $50,000 per flip to make it worth our while, right? But to do that, we've got to find, like, again, depending on how good of marketing and kind of the deals you're finding, we'll say on average to make 50,000 on a flip, you're going to have to go do some repairs. You're going to have to do some work, right? There's not a whole lot of houses out there where you can go in and clean it, trash it out, clean it all up real nice, maybe replace carpet, list it on the market and make 50K, right? And again, people have done that, and that's happened over the last 5-6 years in real estate. But I'm telling you, that's not the normal. So for us to be able to predictably get 50K renovate or 50K flip profits, this is exactly how we do it. Okay. So I want to talk about the story, right? Because you guys gotta understand, like, why would somebody do this and what we're trying to do here. Okay. So really quick, check it out. Let me see the comments though. Phil's 70% gut rehab turned into 90%. Yeah. Okay, I'm assuming Phil means he was shooting for 70% buying on the dollar, right? And all of a sudden he ballooned up to 90%. That is why we have to buy at 70%, right, Phil? We got to have that margin just in case things go high. Okay. Okay. So let's kind of I'm going to keep alluding to my my picture back here in the board in this story. But before I kind of start talking numbers, we got to think about this person, the situation. Right. So this seller, this was in Billings, Montana. She came to us, and every seller situation is a little bit different. But like we talk on all our calls, you got to listen to the seller. You got to understand what's going on. So this lady, I'm going to swap cameras really quick as I talk through this here. All right. You guys can see me back here. Okay. So this lady, her name was Isla. Isla, she had this house, and it was full of cats, full of like multiple animals. It was a mess, right? She'd been planning to renovate this house for a long time. She called us. She needed to get it sold. And the sad part is her husband had passed away about 1.5 years ago. And this is the other cool thing. When I come to the end of the story, guys, you'll see like how we actually are. Like, everybody thinks that wholesalers are stealing the house from grandma and selling it buying it for pennies on the dollar and reselling it to a flipper and making these huge spreads, right? I mean, yes, there are people who have done that, but the cool thing is when you actually help somebody. So Isla was in a situation where this house she had, she owed, I'm going to show you guys here. So she owed $180,000. Okay. That's what her loan balance was. Okay. It was a regular sub-2 loan. So as we kind of start there, that's what she owed. All right. Now for her kind of options were, she could go fire sell it, right? I think she could have just went and fire sold the house for probably $250,000. Okay. So that's where, if she just wanted to fire sell it, get it gone, she could have done that. Listed it as is, sold it to an investor, or sold it to me even. Like, I'm pretty sure we had that conversation about, hey, Isla, we could buy it for $250 if you just want out, right? But if you look at the math there, let's say she sold to me as a wholesaler, I paid all closing fees. Like, she would have made, she's going to have some fees, right? So I would say Isla's profit here is probably 50 to maximum 70,000, right? So if she sold it, she's getting 50 to 70,000. But Isla needed more money. She wanted to be able to spend this money on her kids. She wanted to be able to buy another house eventually, or at least have a down payment, right? As you guys will see, how often, who's ever talked to a seller that's like, I need the cash because I got to go buy another house? I mean, I get that question all the time. And that's what can that's what kills the seller finance deals, right? That's what kills sub-2 deals, because they need all the cash. They need their equity out in order to move on, right? So what we do here, though, is, so that was kind of her option, right? But when we went and looked at the house, what I did is I sent out my contractors. We went to the house and we started looking at this, and we saw that, hold on, take off this phone. I got extra phones going today, so I'm going to be making calls on my wife's phone. Okay, so we went out to the house. We saw that it was about, I'm going to show you guys right here. So the renovation cost, when we estimated it, was about $100,000. That's about what she was going to have to pay, $100K. So for her to get this house to the ARV, which down here, I want to show you guys, talking this full circle, right? We thought that if we fix this house all the way up, there were comps on the market for $500,000, okay? If this thing was all fixed up, ready to go for some nice little family that could go get a mortgage on it, get top dollar, that was $500,000. But to get there, somebody needed to put in $100,000, right? So this, you guys come into the equation, right? Has anybody ever seen a situation like this where they have a relatively low loan, but they need to put 100,000 into it. But it's got big ARV. Anybody seen a deal like that? Good. I see several hands raised, right? But a lot of you guys are probably asking, okay, I'm not ready for a deal like this because I don't have $100,000 to go put into the deal. And also I would not recommend doing your first fix and flip being and having it be $100,000 rehab, right? That's a big job. Okay. But what I'm going to show you guys is you can actually do this. And the way we're going to do this is with a private money lender and the way we set this all up. Okay. So again, and back to Isla, right? Do you guys think Isla had $100,000 to go put in his property? No, yeah. Isla was struggling just to make her payments of like $1,800 a month. She was bleeding every month $1,800 because her job was not paying her that much. So she just wanted to move in with some family, get that liability off of her, and someone fix this house, right? So so what we did, I'm like, Isla, okay, here's how I want to do this, Isla. I can get you 70,000 here, 50 to 70, right? But what I told her is like, Isla, if you let me run this process, go all the way down here to option 3, I told her, you know what, Isla, I think I could get you almost 150,000. Okay, I could basically more than double your cash. I was like, but to get this, I'm going to need some time, right? To get this, I'm going to need probably 3 months, and it's into taking us. And I told her it could go longer. I was initially hoping it would be a faster rehab, but they always take longer, right? So I told her, let's say 3 to 6 months. Okay, I was like, Isla, if you can wait 3 to 6 months, we can double the money. All right. So she's like, yeah, heck yeah, I can wait 3 to 6 months to make double. Why would I not? So we're kind of looking at this too, guys. Now let's go put yourselves in yourself as a flipper shoes, right? Or myself as a flipper. What I was concerned before I structured this using the Revive method, if I were to just traditionally go, you know what, Isla, I'll go buy this house for $250,000. I'm going to have to go get a bank loan or come up with all that cash. And then I'm going to have to come up with another 100,000. So I'm all in at like 350,000 cash. And I don't know about you guys, but I raise a lot of money, but I don't have a ton of people that are wanting to go write a $350,000 check, right? And then I don't necessarily want to go jump through all the bank hoops, which I've done. Like I could go through a bank or a hard money lender, but I'm going to pay all these fees, right? And it's going to eat into my profit. So, and that's what I'm talking about here with option 2. Option 2 is you just fix and flip it, right? You buy it for $250 from her, put $100K into it, so I'm all in at $350, and then I hope to sell it for the $500K, right? So, but now let's go back to the risk of flipping. So my concern on this deal was we were negotiating this in the middle of summer, maybe beginning of summer, and I knew it was a 3-month project. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing looking at my calendar, and I'm like, this thing is going to be listing in September, October, November, right when the market slows, it like screeches to a halt in Wyoming. I'm like, how confident do I feel that I'm going to be able to sell a house for $500,000? Again, this is now in our market, $500,000 is starting to hit the top of the market, which is another place I don't like to be as a fix and flipper. Some people like to do the really high end stuff. I don't love it because there's only so many buyers who can afford that. I like being at the price point where everyone can afford it, and I got lots of buyers. So my fear was I'm going to list it in the dead part of the year. I'm going to be listing it in a high price point, and I was very skeptical I could even get, even though there were comps for 500,000. I'm like, I don't know if I can get there. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, I'm putting in 350 at least, and that's if everything goes perfect. And then I got my title fees, I got my lender fees, I got all these different holding costs, all these different costs, right? So before you know it, if I have to drop my house 50,000, 100,000 to move it, I could potentially lost money. And guys, I've just done deals before where the numbers were this big, but you'd be surprised how fast it can shrink, right? Anybody else seen that when you're fixing and flipping, you got this big margin and you get to the end and you're like, where'd all that profit go? Right? So now we're going to show you guys how I structured this and how I took the risk out. So I told Isla, I'm like, Isla, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take over your $180,000 loan. I'm going to take over your $1,800 payments. And I told her, I'm going to go fund this rehab. So the beauty of what I have is I have my own in-house construction team. So I actually built in some margin into the rental cost, right? And we did a little bit of markup. And I'm like, Isla, I'm going to be managing this. I'm going to do it all for you, right? So therefore, I'm going to have to charge for it. but I kind of ran my numbers. And what I did is in my renovation cost, let's actually show you that. Let's say, just for easier numbers, this isn't exactly it, but let's just say I told Isla it's going to cost me $150,000 to renovate this. Okay. But what I did there is I knew the cost because I do some construction, and if you haven't done construction, go find a good GC. Be careful though, like make sure you got the right guy, because some people tell you they can do it, but they really can't. So be cautious. But I knew we can get it done for 100,000. But I told Isla, I'm only doing this if I get 150, right? So there we go. So you guys see right here, I'll put this in green, right? I just built in 50K of profit. There's my 50K, right? And I told Isla, I'm like, when we go sell this house, this is how we're going to sell it. This gets into the mechanics of a revive method. Is when we go to sell this house, what's going to off the first position lien is going to be the 180,000, right? That's got to get paid off. This is the sub 2, right? That's the sub 2 loan. That has to get paid first, right? But what I told Isla is after that, I want to get paid my 150, right? So if you're adding this together, you got your 180 at closing, then you got 150, okay? So now if you do the math there, what do we got here? 330,000, right? So at 330, that's, again, first money to the loan, next money to me. So let's say that, and I told the seller this, and I always tell the sellers this, I'm like, when we close, the deed is coming to me. I'm going to have to control this, because if I put 150,000 in, well, first off, I told them I don't have to put, like, this does not work. If Isla had 100,000 around, laying around and could go do this, this obviously doesn't work. But Isla doesn't have that. And I tell Isla, if I'm going to put 150,000 in, I got to get paid first, right? So after the sub 2 loan, then I get paid first. So therefore, say I had to fire sell this thing, like we're going for 500, but I could drop it all the way to 400. And even at 400, I'd be able to pay commissions and still, you guys see that margin I'm building? It's a huge margin because I get paid first, right? Now, let's talk about the private money lender. This is where they come in, right? So this 100K we're talking about that we need to renovate this. I didn't like, and this is how you guys can do it, right? Because I bet a lot of you guys don't have 100,000 just sitting on the sidelines ready for a fix and flip. Maybe some of you do, and if you do, we should talk. You could be a private money lender for me. But anyway, what I do is I go find a private money lender, and this basically this $150,000 that I've worked into the deal. What I do is I structure that as a second lien position for my private money lender. So if we're looking at we're looking at like the debt stack, this 180 is a first position, sub 2, right? Now this 150 is going to be a second to my PML, all right? But my PML, what I show them is I'm like, hey, you guys get out a calculator real quick, okay? Let's do the math on the ARV of that. So if the total debt with the first plus second is 330, let's divide that by our ARV. What do we get? What do you guys get for a percentage? Anybody get it? Feel free to pop it in the chat. Make sure you guys are following along. 66%. All right. So is that a pretty good cushion for a private money lender to be at 66% total LTV? So the total debt divided by the value, 66%. So guys, I'm able to, when I present that to a private money lender, I say, you're going to be secured in the total debt, even though you're in second position, it's a total debt of 66%. It's a $170,000 cushion, right? I mean, there'd be commissions in there, but they're well protected, right? And so that if some of you guys I've just had a lot of conversations with private money lenders and people trying to raise money from PMLs, and they're like, I can't get my PML to like lend in second position. Well, if you present it like this and there's only 60% total debt on the property, you guys see why it would make sense and we start to de-risk it, right? Here's the other cool thing is, guys, I'm actually, as I told you, the rehab is 100. I borrowed 150. I can actually pay myself on the front end of the deal. I don't have to wait till the back end of the flip to get paid, right? So really quick, good question. So in this example, does the PML pay you up front? Yes. Ooh, good question. Depending on your PML, right? If you have a good relationship and a track record, okay, a conservative PML is not going to pay you at all up front. They're going to pay you in draws, right? They should at least give you some money to get started. If not, it becomes like what's the point, right? I'm still using my own money and you're reimbursing me. So I would definitely not work with a PML that at least doesn't front some of the money for you. But again, if you go to a hard money lender, guys, I tried this for years. The hard money lenders, unless you know them really well and have done a lot of deals, they're not going to front any money. Literally, they're going to pay you in draws. So they might say, oh, this 150, we'll pay you 50 when you're halfway, or when you're a third of the way. We'll pay you 50 when you're 2/3. And then once you're all done, we'll give you your last 50. But what ends up happening is you have to float that first 50, right? And now everybody's got 50,000 or wants to tie up 50,000 to float with, right? It's a really good question. Did answer that? Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, so they'll do draws, right? But my PMLs, I have a good enough relationship. I've done enough deals. I'm like, nobody wants to mess with draws. I don't want to bug all my contractors to go get photos. I mean, they're taking photos anyway, but like, I don't want to mess with photos. I don't want to mess with draw requests. It's just a bunch of extra paperwork. And my PMLs, they don't really want to be bothered, right? They want to know they're at 66%, all right? And they know that I'm going to finish the project and I'm not going to run off the money, right? But does that answer it? But if you're doing your first deal, don't expect that they're going to give you 150,000 up front. Good question. Any other ones so far, guys?
Casey, maybe go in this direction, but this is one great example you've shared from this year. You think how many total revive method you've done this year? If you can give us a ballpark.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, we've I mean, this deal right here, you know what's kind of fun? I meant to lead with this actually. So this deal, if you guys saw my Instagram or followed me, I was signing on this yesterday. We're supposed to fund on this deal on next week. So I was actually signing closing docs on this deal. We've actually already got to and I'll finish the end of the story, but we've actually signed on this one to close it. We've got our end buyer. We've done the whole project, right? But before that, I had done 2 other revive methods just in Billings. We're finishing up another one. I'm going to show you a case study in Cheyenne. We did one in Cody. I think we're probably close to 10 of these total we've done now. And my private money lenders love them. As you guys are seeing, I love them because I'm just taking off the risk. So awesome. Thanks, Antoine. So I'll kind of keep going through. So let's kind of play this out and we'll talk a little bit more about structure. So I got my PML, right? They're secured. I got the money to the rehab. So now I go to fix it, right? And I'm going to show you guys a little bit later in the slides, but as far as like how everybody's protected, right? So you got to think about, I'll kind of frame this up here, right? But at the beginning, you're going to have you're going to close. So when we close, the big difference between this and a novation is the deed is changing, right? Because I would not recommend putting 100,000 in without changing the deed, right? I want to control the deed. And I told you guys, I tell my seller that if the market crashes, like I want to be able to sell this thing I want to be able to sell it for 350 if I had to and be able to get my money back and get out, right? And they just understand that they might not make any, right? But then again, when you explain this right and you explain the upside and then you have a reputation of not trying to screw people over, like Isla did this because she's like, I don't want to make 50 to 70. I want to make 150, which is what she's about to make this next week. Okay. So at closing, she signs over the deed. What I do is I give her a promissory note and sometimes a mortgage, right? Because you're like, well, what protects her from when you do sell? How do you make sure she gets paid back? Well, we'll do a promissory note just like I would with my PML. And then sometimes we'll do a mortgage, but I'll make sure that mortgage is behind my private money lender because I got to make sure they're protected, right? They're not going to want to be behind the seller and in third position. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then as far as on the back end, I do this 2 different ways, guys. So in Isla's situation, we actually calculated a profit share. I think hers was 50-50, ironically. But I do sometimes, I've done one where I'm doing one in Cheyenne where I'm actually doing, no, I lied. Isla's was, hers was 85% to her, only 15% to me, right? So, but again, I'm building in my profit into the rehab and then I got to participate a little bit on the back end, but I wanted to make sure that the deal made sense for her. And I'm going to show you guys a spreadsheet on how I calculate the profit shares at the end. And I'm going to share that with you guys. You can keep it and use it how you want. But the other way to do it, I've done it several times, did another one in Billings, Montana as well, where the seller's just like, I just need 50,000 and I could wait 30, 60, 90, 180 days, whatever it takes, but I need 50,000 in case you could keep anything above it, right? So that's more like a traditional novation, right? You get whatever it is above it. But the difference between it and a novation is I'm going to go put in a big rehab. So I'm going to change the deed. Okay. I'm gonna check the question. Sorry, I'm newer to the community. Where can I find this? The last Zooms. Yeah. Hey, Charles, we'll get you a link to the last recordings, man. I think you'll like it.
Casey, I have a question.
Go for it.
So I'm assuming that like there are two purchase contracts, a purchase price innovations. One is for acquisitions in order to get the lean position. Second for the PML, that's the first number. Second is the 500 number that you know that in beforehand. Now take the PML out and take the ARV out. How much is the purchase price without them, and how much like just you see the, and there is no ARV determined yet. So initially when you're talking to the seller, right, how do you determine whether this is going to be 500 ARV or like more than what the spread is or similar? So in order to get the PML, hey, you know what, this is actually like a good deal. How do you convince the PML with the initial purchase
Yeah,
price?
all that's
That's the
closed.
key.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta mute.
These doors are always okay.
All right, I'm faster now. Got everybody muted this week. Okay. Good question. I think I'm going to share a Google sheet here in a little bit that I think will break it down a lot easier. And then you'll see all the numbers. So hang on with that one. That's a great question though. And then I think it'll make sense. Good one. Good question. And then make sure let me make sure I got all the other questions. Yes. So Dustin's asking, so the profit to her was 70K plus 85,000 over the 330 price. Good. So Dustin, it was a little bit more. I can show you the calculations of how we did it. I was just trying to keep it oversimplified here, but essentially, yeah, let me just finish out the story and I'll show you guys. So essentially we got done, we did the job, and then we're ready to go close. And the cool thing is I call Isla and Isla was she's really excited to come see the house, right? Because she and her family, I think even maybe her husband who passed away, they had dreamed about, like, they had always talked about fixing up this house. So I'm like, Isla, do you want to come see it? Because it's, I mean, a before and after of a flip. And if you guys see the before and afters, it was really cool. But anyway, she's actually going to see it today at 2:00 Mountain Time. So she's going to go see it. But anyway, because we fast forwarded, we got the flip done. Took a little longer, as they always do, right? We were closer to the 6-month mark than the 3-month. But we're almost all done. We are all done. We're under contract. We put it on the market, got a full price offer at 500,000. Even in, I think we went under contract like the last week of September. So I was definitely felt fortunate there. So we got the top price for 500,000. And yeah, we just been working through repairs and excited to show Isla. And then the cool thing she told me, guys, which is maybe getting too much into it, but it's worth sharing. She kind of was choking up a little bit on the call. She's like, Casey, I thought it was really ironic or maybe fate. Like we saw that the house went under contract on October 12th or whatever date it was. She's like, that was exactly 2 years from my husband passing away. So we knew it was the right time, the right deal, and just a kind of a cool sentimental thing for her. So really cool way we're helping her. As I've shown you guys, we're locking in a 50K profit and then we're making money in the back end. So I'm going to go over to my slides now, but I wanted to show you guys, kind of tell you the story of like why it works for the seller, right? And why it works for us. Okay.
Casey, before you go to slides, do you have time for another quick question?
Absolutely.
Okay, Miss Michelle, did you have a question that you wanted to ask Casey directly?
I can wait until the end.
Okay. Alrighty. We'll circle back.
Good. Anybody else question on this board before I go? I'll probably answer your question in a second, but that's a loaded question. I think I know the answer. We'll keep going. Okay, guys. All right, now let me share my screen real quick, and we'll show you guys a little bit more breakdown here.
Sorry, Casey, you had one quick come in just a moment ago from the chat.
Yes, you bet, Nikim. Do you pay a wholesale LLC for bringing the construction company? 2 LLCs. Oh, yeah. Great question. Could do it either way. You could pay. Okay. So I have the wholesale company and the construction. I like this because I just bundle it into one fee and I'm like, hey, I'm going to manage everything of this whole transaction. So that's where I just let that 150,000 I told you guys about. That's going to be me. I'm going to be, both of them are built in there, but what you could do is, yeah, you could build in a wholesale fee and then you could go build in a construction fee as separate, especially if you're using like a general contractor. Cause I'm definitely aware that most people probably don't have a construction company, but you can still work if you're going to manage the contractors, you could absolutely build in a fee, but you can also, but to answer your question, Nikim, you can do 2 LLCs or 1 LLC, either way works. All right. Let's share my screen here, guys. Share the slides. All right. I think you guys are going to like the resources too we got for you. Okay, well, first off, yeah, I wanted to show you guys the house, right? So here's the house when it was all finished. You guys can go here if you guys do here. You know what, Clint? I'm gonna drop this in the chat. So if you guys do want to see, not that you care, but I'm pretty proud of how this house turned out. I know Isla was too, but I'll share. This is just a house we flipped in Zillow, in case anybody wants to poke around and look at it. Where did the chat go? All right, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just hold on. Okay, there it is. Okay, here's the link to the house. Okay, so back to it, guys. So kind of thinking back about this, I wanted to share this slide again. We share it every week, not every week, but we shared it several times. Guys, when you're trying to negotiate a deal like this, again, it's not about what is 70% of the house minus repairs, minus your wholesale fee. It's not about that. It's like, what is the lowest price the seller would accept that solves her problem, right? Back to Isla. Her problem, right, or her bunnies was she was bleeding money from this house. She wanted to maximize her cash. She had time, right? She didn't need it all in 30 days. She could wait, and she wanted to maximize her cash. And she didn't have 100,000 to fix it, right? So always remember that, guys. It's all about how can you solve the seller's problem, right? So talking kind of the top 3 things, guys. Why do I love this revive method, right? Number 1, as I showed you, I lock in the profit on the front end, right? I'm locking it into my rehab to where, and I get that benefit because I'm a contractor and things are just really inflated in my market. So I'm actually still charging like market value, or I mean, pretty close to. So I can lock in a profit on the front end, right? And not have to take all the risk of a fix and flip. The seller is taking a lot of the risk, just like a fix and flipper would, right? But I can kind of put that risk over to them. All right. Second thing is you can use a PML, right? As I talked earlier, like you can't go secure a PML on a novation, but doing this, when you transfer a deed, you can use a PML. And then I just kind of talked about that. If the market significantly drops, the seller is the one taking the risk. And again, guys, it's important that you share this. I'll show you guys in my documents or a little bit later. Well, I'll just tell you right now. I got my attorney. We just have a little paragraph that says, hey, I can sell this property at whatever I need to do to sell it, right? I'm not trying to do that. That's not my intent, but I have the ability to sell it, and they might not get any money on the back end, right? So they are taking that risk, but it's all about how you present it. Okay, so what properties should we use this on? Right? You guys are probably thinking in your head, you probably answered this already, right? But the biggest one is a house that has a lot of value add. Okay, if you're looking at a house that doesn't need any work and it's like turnkey, ready to go, looking beautiful, that's probably not a good candidate, right? Because you're not bringing a bunch of value. You're not going to have to put money into it, right? So having a value add component, right? And then the seller's got to have some equity, right? It's if it's a big value add, but they have no equity, well, there's no sense of it. Just take it over sub 2, right? They've got to have some equity, and you've got to be trying to help them unlock that equity. Just like Isla. Isla had a bunch of equity in this thing, but she couldn't unlock it unless she renovated it into where a nice family could go in there, buy the house, get financing, get top dollar, okay? And the other big piece is I got to have time. Right? If they have 60 to 180 days, this is great. If they need that cash in 15 days, as I show you on this next slide, it's not going to help, right? So these are the 2 ones when it don't work. If they need money in less than 30 days, or if there's no value add, okay? All right, now we're going to kind of talk about what you guys are probably most excited to is how do you underwrite one of these? How do you like pencil it out? How do you run numbers? Guys, I've been teaching my team, like I built my own spreadsheet for this, and initially it was I was worried that no one could understand it, and I might confuse all you guys today when you look at it. But I want to show you guys like the spreadsheet I use. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, but I try to kind of oversimplify it. So ultimately, you can plug numbers into this, and you guys can run it. Who's excited to see the underwriting? Who wants to? You guys want to see? All right, good. All right, let me plug in my computer real quick. Cool. So here's kind of a breakdown. This is another one I did in billings. Kind of quick, high-level numbers. I'm going to just show you guys the numbers, and then actually too, this is another thing I was going to do. This is sorry, I didn't mean to send this was the link I wanted to share with you guys. So, all right. So guys, keep this. Oh, you know what? I didn't send the Zillow link. So I did what I meant to do. Okay. So I'm going to send this to everybody. This is a great video for you guys to go watch at the end of this. This is like, it's a 5-minute video. This explains another deal very similar to this, same lady, same town, ironically. Almost similar numbers. But in this video, don't watch it now, but I just want you guys to save this link. Go watch this after it. Because I think if you listen and pay attention today, I think this is a great resource to go back and be like, oh, there it is in kind of 5 minutes. And I walk through and summarize it and show it all. And this is like me walking the property, okay? But now I'm going to show you guys the numbers of this one, okay? So on this deal, let me move some of this up here. So ARV on this one was $450,000. Their mortgage amount was, with the purchase price is just what they owed, right? And that's what we put. So on the closing statement, when we go to close these, it just shows we bought the house for $178,000. And then we basically have a promissory note with the seller to pay them back at the back end. So here I've got the rehab here. I always factor in holding costs, right? I try to put an estimate in based on, this is actually holding costs plus fees, right? I combined 5% or maybe 5 or 6% at sale. And then I figure out, all right, how much is a mortgage for 6 months or however many months you hold this? And that's all bundled into the holding costs, right? Then I put in a sales price. Guys, this is the big variable, as you can see on this slide. And this is what I tell the seller. I tell them, I have a good idea of rehab. We know your loan amount. We roughly know our holding costs and commissions. What we don't know is what we're going to sell it for. And that's why I show them all these options. I show them in the spreadsheet. I show, hey, if I sold it for 400, this is what you make. Her name was April. I was like, this is the amount of cash you're going to get is 27,000, right? But if we sell it for 450, which we ended up doing, we sold this one for 450. Let me go down here to sales price. Yeah, we sold it. This was right around where we sold it. So she ended up getting $50,000, 380, right? But what I do is I present the seller this exact spreadsheet and I say, hey, here's what happens. We're going to split, you can see here, I show 50-50, right? I say, April, we're going to split 50-50, but this is how you know what to expect, what to make on the back end. And this helps present the deal to them, right? Because April was just like Isla. If she would have sold right now, there's no way in heck she was going to clear $50,000 after she paid off her loan, right? But by me flipping her house and kind of sharing the profit, that's what allowed her to get there. I'm going to go back to questions real quick. Did you have any profit built into the front end? Yes, absolutely. I do that on every single one. On this rehab, 135,000. I've got, typically I'm going to try to, it depends deal to deal, sometimes 30, sometimes 50. We've not really ever gone over 50,000 on the rehab budget. But again, I mean, a GC, I didn't even cover this. So guys, in our market, here's the other part of the pitch. You're probably like, well, why is anybody agreeing to a $50,000 markup? Well, here's the thing. Time is money. And I'm going to room. What I do is I'm going to start like next week or as soon as we close, my crew is starting because none of us, I don't make any money on this deal until I sell it, right? Well, I make a little bit on the front end on the wholesale, but we don't make money until we flip it, right? So what I tell my seller is I'm going to start right away. And the difference is you could maybe go get a contractor to do it for cheaper than I can, but you're going to wait 6 months, right? And can they wait 6 months? Usually not, right? They're like, well, if I wait 3 months, and what I say is, hey, if I start, I can get this job done in 3 to maybe 30 to 60 days. We list it. We could actually have you paid in 90 to 120 days, right? So it's all about timing too. Oh, good question on the husband passing away. Yeah, we actually had to go through, we didn't have to go through probate, but we had to obviously submit all the paperwork at the title company. Good question. Okay. So,
Casey, real quick, I had another one about your high equity deals when you purchase them. If there's any lead gen sources that have kind of pushed those to the top of the list for you.
Ooh, good question. Yeah, so you don't love my answer because there's a lot of people. There are lists, absolutely. You could do high equity lists. My philosophy, and it's evolved, right? But I do a lot of marketing direct to seller, and I cast a really wide net. Therefore, I get people with no equity that I do sub twos on, but I get a lot of these people too that have good equity, right? But yeah, you could 100% go to PropStream, list source, whatever we use, Deal Machine, go pull the data and find high equity, right? But yeah, this wasn't like from like a niche list. I should have pulled where the lead came from. Maybe Clint could do that for us. But anyway, yeah, you could absolutely though kind of try to go pinpoint. I'm going for high equity and low rate loans, right? It's kind of the same with the LOI blaster, right? Going for high equity. They're typically going for low interest loans with high equity, right? So with low equity. In this situation, yes, we're looking for high equity. Good question. So you guys can kind of see how this one finished out, right? So this is where we landed, and this is actually numbers at the end of the deal. So we profited 50,000. Let's see. I'm looking at that one too. I think yeah, you know what? You're right. So this was the beauty of this flip. We almost made 6 figures because we built in 50,000 into it because I was able to use my construction company. And right, I've got overhead with my construction company, and not everybody has that, right? So not maybe a true 50K built in, but I'm building in a 50K markup on the work, right? And then on the back end, we got paid 50,000 on the flip. It's a pretty cool deal. Let me show you one more case study, guys. So this is another one we're closing. This one, we're actually supposed to close today. We're having a couple delays. Our buyer's lender is a little bit delayed. But to show you, same process, guys. Oh, sorry, last one on this one. This, guess what? Guess how I funded this 135,000? Any guesses how I funded it? PML, right? I went and found a PML, and I didn't borrow a full 135. I just borrowed, I think, 100K, right? So with the 100K, I needed 80K of actually cost. I paid myself a $20,000 wholesale fee, and my private money lender was still, look how well protected they are. All in this property using round easy math is like 300,000, 310, right? So the total debt was 310. The comps were showing, and we ended up selling it for 450, right? That one was right around 70% LTV. So my PML that did that job, that did that one, was super happy. They made like 12%. They were well secured, worked really well. Jose, on the first one, you made 50 in the first end and 50 on the back end. Okay, so Jose, on the one I showed you guys, I don't have our exact numbers up there for what we're going to make, but yeah, we penciled in about, I think it was a little tighter. We're making about 40K on the front end, and then we're making probably going to be 20 to 30 on the back end. Good question. So we're going to make about 60 to 70,000 total. Cynthia, good question. Would you do a flip on a multifamily? If so, how many units is your max? Ooh, definitely would not have a max, Cynthia. I would look at any multifamily, and I typically tend to do the BRRRR strategy on multifamily, and we keep it, and just because they're such good assets, and a lot of the investors I work with are like, they like the depreciation and they like the long term, and multifamily value add is the best because you can refinance. If you guys haven't seen a couple weeks ago, look, and in the vault right now, they're titled. I had Victoria help me and go in and title each section. But we had a multifamily underwriting where I talk about a multifamily deal we did, where we basically did the BRRRR strategy. We bought it with a seller's loan. We funded it with my fund, actually did the fix and flip part of it. And then we're in the process of fixing it up now. And when we're done, we'll refinance, pay back the seller's loan, pay back my fund's loan, and then I'll be able to keep the asset. Pretty cool deal. Hopefully that did answer it. Yeah, so definitely not a max on units, and I have not structured a multifamily deal like this, but you 100% could, especially because those guys are, when you're talking to a multifamily seller, they're typically more willing to look at creative terms, and you could totally profit split with those guys. Did the PML make 12%? Oh yeah, good question, Randy. Very good clarification. Guys, a lot of your PMLs, they're going to want 12% on the deal. If you ever hear me talk percentages, it's always APR, right? And again, I talk to hard money lenders. It drives me nuts. They're like, wait, so I'm getting 12%, or they're used to getting 12% like of the deal. It's like, no, you get 12% annually. And anyway, it's hard if don't have good relationships, but my private money lenders are very happy to make 12% annually secured, especially when they're secured at as well secured as I showed you on that last deal. Good questions, guys. So yeah, so here's the next one. Very similar numbers. We're under contract, as I mentioned. We're supposed to sell today, be next week though, for 440,000. This one I took over the seller's loan at 170. This is a big rehab. We almost rebuilt this house. Clint was a big part of this one. We did it. This is a big one. We put 180,000 into it roughly. Our PML loan was 120K. So I actually funded a good chunk of this myself. But we brought the PML loan. And guys, this is one of the ones where the rehab balloon, we were not planning to put in 180. We were planning to put in more like 140, but it ballooned, and that's just what happens in fix and flips. But again, because I built in so much margin on the front end, we were able to protect ourselves. So we're still going to make around 50 to 70 on this one, despite having being what happens to all fix and flippers, right? You always have unforeseen things. But this is another good case study. I did want to show you guys let me just see where it's at. Okay. I got the underwriting. Let me find this. Okay. Actually, I think it's right here. So I want to show you guys this Google sheet. You guys are probably like, hey, I want to see, how do we do the underwriting, right? So I'll share this with you guys. We got several hands raised. You know what? Let me show you this, and I'm going to go to everybody else and make sure I've answered your questions. So if I go here, is this it? I've got multiple of these tabs, but I'm going to share one of these with you guys when we're all done. No, that one. Well, regardless, this one will work. Okay. So this one was for, yeah, this was, okay. You guys are probably wondering, let's do Grubstake. Grubstake's a little bit easier. So Grubstake was the second case study I showed you where we took over the seller's loan of 179. But guys, this is exactly what I show to the seller. I literally input these numbers, and all you guys have to do is you basically go in and you input the loan amount, right? You estimate the rehab, right? And I would build in your profit margin. But this is a variable. I'll kind of highlight this. So the variables that I can kind of play with to make sure that this deal's profitable for me and makes sense, or for you in this situation, and also my seller, I play with this one, and then I play with the percentages, right? Because I'm going to make money here, and then I'm going to make a little bit of money here, right? And then the holding costs, here you see what I did. I just did 5% of the purchase price. And then I just did, this is their monthly payment times 6, right? Because I'm like, hey, I want to be able to prepare this. I need to be prepared to hold this for 6 months. Okay. And then here's the big variable, right? I always show them, hey, what could it sell for on the low end? And then I like to show them on the high end. I'm like, hey, they could drop interest rates after this election. Rates might drop, prices might go up high again. And I want to show them, like, there is upside to this. You could make even more money if this thing goes like it could. Okay. But then I just show them, I'm like, okay, so April was her name. I'm like, this is how much you could make, right? You'd make 50% of the profit right here. Plus, so effectively, I wanted to show April. I'm like, hey, this is effectively what you'd end up selling your house for, right? Because what I was trying to do is, like, I could give you the cash offer, which in this case was maybe like 200 or something. I'm like, well, I could pay you 228, and this is what she ended up getting, right? So again, of that 228, that was paying off her loan right here plus the 50,000. So anyway, guys, to kind of summarize this, what I do is I play with this because what the seller wants to know is, they're like, how much is my total purchase price, right? And what I show them, I'm like, hey, April, if this thing goes really well, we could buy this house for 252,000, right? It also might be as low here, but anyway, but in these different scenarios, and then guys, I can go play with the percentages, right? Like maybe I make it 85, 25, right? I could play with these. I mean, obviously I just messed up my spreadsheet, but anyway, you guys can play with the percentage, and you guys can play with the rehab budgets, right? I mean, all these are different variables you can mess with, but let's answer some question, guys. So I'm going to share this. The quick answer is I will share this Google Sheet with you guys. I'll make sure. Here's what I'll do. What do you think, Clint? Should we just, after the call, we'll go post this Google Sheet on the Facebook group. I'll tag as many of you guys as I can that were on this call today. Clint helps me out with that. And then make sure, but guys, when I tag you, please go comment on it so other people can see it, right? And maybe you see somebody who's on this call that wasn't on there. Please go comment on that post, and I'll share this Google Sheet with you guys. Okay. And I'll also share that YouTube link just in case you guys didn't get it earlier, breaking this down. But okay, let's go some questions now. I'm going to go back before I go to the hands raised really quick. Although you guys politely raise your hands. Okay. Okay. Please edit this one for you, I think. Oh, okay. Hopefully the one, yeah. Yes, thanks, Z. Okay. I'll make sure my personal stuff is on there. Okay. All right. All righty. So I have to leave. Okay, cool. Yes, we will be recording this one, Gilbert. He's probably already gone. Sweet. Okay. All right. We're ready for questions. So let's go back to, yeah, well, I'll go from the top. Go ahead, Michelle. Did you get yours answered yet? That's okay. Let's move down to Cynthia. Did we answer yours?
No, Casey, I wanted to ask you, you said you would do this on a multifamily. The one that I have in right outside of Kansas City, Missouri, you called the owner a couple weeks ago, and he said, it'll save his life if he has this one. That one is a fixer-upper. I've looked at the rent logs, and I've done them every month, and it makes about 50,000, but he needs to have it fixed up a little bit. So I could see this scenario going on with that location. Remember, he's got a Love's gas station across the street from it, and he wanted to do 8 pull-throughs right there. And he said, if I kept this property, I would put 250,000 in to do the mobile home parks that have empty spaces. And I talked with I've got a private money lender that told me just the other day he's got cash. to invest. He's someone I've been working with for over 10 years. So I'm thinking that instead of just holding it, that it would be a good fix and flip. And it might be a phone call to him to where I think the problem is he's a business owner. He owns multiple businesses, the broker says. And this one is just, it's still holding, it's doing well, about 50,000 a month. And with 89 units, it's just, I think he's spread too thin. And so he could use some help like this to come in and fix up his place, and then we could sell it.
Yeah, you know what? Let's try to call him. I got some time today. So do you mind just texting him, say, hey, would you be free for Casey to call you in the next hour?
All right, I'll text him right now.
I agree. This would be a great case study. I love it.
Yeah, I think it would work.
Yes. Cool. Yeah, let's do it. Love it.
Okay.
I took notes too. And I do remember that one. So cool. All right. Let's go with Brian. Go ahead. You're next.
Hey, Casey, thank you. Quick question. So it sounds, and pardon me, I came in late, so apologies if I'm asking something you answered real well. You're getting a hold of the deed and power of attorney in the very beginning. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You know what? And I'll just show you that too. So guys, really quick, you teed up this one as well. So the documents, right? So guys, and I think all the chat's probably covering this up, but yeah, so it's just a regular purchase contract. Guys, all I do is at the back of my end of my contract, I say buyer to issue promissory note to seller for 178,000 plus profit share based on the final sell. Seller will receive 85% of the difference less all the closing costs that I showed you guys on that sheet, the holding costs and concessions, blah, blah, blah. And I say, see attached table for estimated profit share, right? So this is where I said, hey, this is what we're estimating, but I see these stars. I say, these costs are variable, right? Then this could change. But that's really all I do on the front end. And then we sign. It's similar to sub 2, right? So I'm going to get the third party authorization. So in case something happens to these people, I can still get a payoff. Everything you would do on a normal sub 2, I do the same thing, right? Insurance, I'm typically gonna just get added as an additional insured. And then yeah, everything's pretty simple there. Again, but the other piece is that you got to add to this is you're going to have a promissory note with the seller. That way they've got something protecting them that when you do sell the house, you're going to pay them back.
Okay, gotcha. I think I've heard this marketed recently as a reverse flip. Does that ring a bell, or maybe not?
I was going to ask that. I was asking some other people. I'm like, that's what we call it, the revive method in-house. And I was going to see if that would stick today, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Reverse flip. I do. Yeah, I like it. Or partnering. I've just, a lot of people call it like,
well, that one I think is copywritten. There's a guy who I almost fell for this shiny object. I almost fell for a hard sell, but this sounds very much like what they're describing. So
yep.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Casey.
You bet. Good question. I'll go back to Dustin here in a second, but Robert asked, could you explain if you were talking to the seller in the spreadsheet? I'm interested how you explain the part when you highlight the difference between buying cash. Yeah, Robert, I'll do that here in just a second. That's a great question. Okay, go ahead. Let's go though with Dustin.
Okay, thank you. I actually am very interested in Robert's question also, but I'm wondering about the paying yourself on the front end. Is there any issue doing that whenever you don't own the general contractor company? Like, does it pose any sort of problems putting a fee on the rehab part of it if you don't own the company that's doing the rehab?
Yeah, the easy answer is disclose it. Just tell whatever. And really, you just need to disclose it to your PML, right? But I know a ton of guys who fix and flip, and they just let them know. They say, hey, I'm fix and flipping this house. I found a good deal. Therefore, I'm going to, a lot of times they'll just pad their rehab. And then they just, as long as your deal makes sense and the numbers are there, yeah, you could pay yourself in the front end. But that said, there's definitely some PMLs who are like, no, you can't. You don't get paid until it gets flipped. So whatever you do, disclose it. But it's up to your PML.
Okay. Piggybacking on that question, whenever you're putting that on the front end for your PML, and of course you're going to explain to your PML, I mean, they're going to want a breakdown of the rehab and stuff probably, especially if you haven't worked with them a lot, and they do typically do draws. How does that work if they're supposed to give you I mean, if they're supposed to give you your payment on the front end, but they typically just do draws, how would
Ooh.
how would that work if you're drawing your profit out? I mean, and you're only supposed to be using like whatever you're using to rehab the property, and then they reimburse you for that. I don't. It
Yeah.
seems like a
Here's
get.
what I see what you're asking. So yeah, say it's ideally they just pay it all at once, but I see what you're saying. So if they don't, be like, hey, but they're still agreeable to like, yeah, you know what, Dustin, you found a good deal. What you say is this costs money. Finding good deals like this does not just, I don't just snap my fingers and get good deals, right? I pay people, I have marketing costs. So that's what you say. Say, hey, it costs me money to get here. So I need to be reimbursed, or I need to be paid for that first. And then you could just say, hey, if it's a 150K like this one, be like, hey, I want 20K on the first draw to me just to pay me for the deal. You could even put it on the settlement statement if you wanted. I've seen people do that. Or you could do it in the first draw. And what I would say is, hey, say they're really a stickler, be like, hey, I want 20,000 for finding the deal, and I want the first 30,000 to start buying materials. And if it's a reasonable private money lender and it's a good deal, they have some trust in you, they should do it.
Okay. Could you maybe do like a small portion on the front end as a fee for your PML if they had problems with it, and then write in some sort of wholesale fee on the contract for the back end for the rest of it? Or
Yeah.
is that unnecessary?
No, I mean, like obviously it's situational, right? But I've been there, right, Dustin? I've been there where like people they don't like you getting paid on the front end, right? Especially when they're lending money. They're like, you can't get paid. You can get paid when I get paid. So if they're just difficult, and you don't have to have the money. Or maybe the first couple guys, I would just recommend just be patient and get paid on the back end, right? Until you build some trust and build a track record. Right. But yeah, but then again, if you want to do a hybrid, like you're saying, Dustin, where, all right, I'm going to get paid 10,000 on the front end, then I get the other 10 in when we sell it. That's another good compromise.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet. Good questions. Cool. Let's go over and I am still going to do what Roberto asked, but go ahead, Corey.
Hi, Casey. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing up in BC?
I'm good. I have a question. I have a potential deal, and it's my very first one. I've only been in the group for like about 6 weeks. Can you use this model that you're talking about right now on a foreclosure?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everybody knows my first answer to this usually, like, we can call, if you want to call them, we can. I'd love to help you. But yeah, but if not, I can explain it.
Yeah, that would be great. Didn't mean to cut you off, but it's a I mean, you guys have probably heard situations like this before, but it was a husband and wife. They're divorced. She's the breadwinner. She's living outside of the house. She's paying for her rent at the place that she's living at. Plus, she's paying all the bills for the husband because the husband's a lazy ass and doesn't want to work. And they're over 49,000 behind on the mortgage. And they had a contract with somebody else. And the people haven't been able to close the deal. And now they're panicking. They got 2 weeks left. And, going off of one of the things that Pace had said, that, he doesn't want to try to rip people off. And so he says where he's used the model where he gets them caught up on their mortgage and then they sell it and then he makes his fee. And so that's kind of how I pitched it to them. But it's my very first deal. The place needs about 90,000 in work, a new roof. The husband had tore apart the master bathroom, hasn't finished it. Backyard's a bit torn up. And in my mind, I'm just like, is there a deal here? Or do I have to do it where it's like a lowball offer and they don't make much?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the only difference is your rehab. Let's simplify this for everybody. The only difference between this deal and my deal I just showed you is there's an additional 50,000 of rehab, and it's the rehab meaning it's got to go cash up mortgage payments. So you are going to have to either get a PML or get more cash to come in. But yeah, but you could totally pay them. Sounds like there's a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we can pull it up if you want, Corey.
Okay.
And Evie or Ivy, I haven't forgot about you. Ivy, do you want to, you know what, while he's getting me, yeah, Corey, send me any info you have on it, and then let's break this one down. I love this. Is a good example. And man, this is what Problems to Profits is about, is people bringing deals. So
my question though is I don't have them under contract yet. So for me to post that in the chat, I'm sorry, I'm just worried someone might try to take the deal.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So luckily this community is phenomenal. And so I've been doing this for 14 weeks, and And I always give, you know what? This is the first time I haven't given that caveat because I always think like you, Corey. I'm like, oh man, are people going to be comfortable? Hey, no, if you want to send it to me, like on a one-on-one or like on a side chat, I don't have to share it. But here's the thing: no one's snaking deals here, and if they do, they will not be a part of this community. I can guarantee it. So, but it's up to you. If you're still not comfortable, I understand.
Okay. Can I, through the side chat, can I do a direct message to you and nobody can see it?
Bingo. Yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna do, and I'll stop sharing. But yeah, do that. Send me a direct message, and I'll do that. Yeah. Z says I'm snitching on anybody who snakes to me. Yep, that's right. We're in a non-snake family here, right? So no, it's good. I like it, man. Being cautious, cool. But guys, we've been kind of doing a lot of like teaching and me calling, but this is what Problems to Profit's all about, is you guys bringing deals just like this and we solve them. So man, Corey, you got me pumped. But let's go to Ivy while really quick while he's sending me that over. Go ahead, Ivy.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. Regarding the deed transfer, does the homeowner give that to you right off the bat upon signing the contract? And did they move out or you require them to move out? I see in your contract that the buyer is not occupying the prior to closing.
Yeah. Yep. Good.
Correct.
Really good point. So yeah, I didn't cover this caveat. That's another piece, guys, is, I swear we face it on every other deal. It's like, where's the seller going to go? Right. So your first answer, let me answer, that's an easy one, is when we close, that's when the deed transfers, right? So we'll typically have and we can close within like a week or two.
But
yeah.
The seller can turn around and screw you over because novation is really, really, really risky for us investors.
True. Yeah. Well, first off, I don't invest in states like California where you have to deal with that BS. But in Wyoming, where it's pretty landlord friendly. But I'm with you. But regardless, even in Wyoming, I don't want to wait 30 days to evict somebody, or it's probably shorter than that. But anyway, what I'll do is, we figure that out before we close. So I'm like, for example, Isla, oh my gosh, you guys, I got to tell the story now. So Isla was out of the house. This is a funny story. If you guys have, anybody's seen my Instagram will know this story. But first off, we make sure they're out of the house, right? So when we were talking to Isla, we're like, Isla, where can you go? Do you have a relative you could stay with, right? Because a lot of times they don't. Hold on, I got to mute everybody. Okay, so I told Isla, I said, you got to be out of the house, right? And she's like, can I move everything into the garage? And I was like, yeah, you could do that. And you could put your stuff in the garage for a couple days, which I probably shouldn't have said yes to, but she ended up doing that. Anyway, my contractor was so pissed, right? But here's where it gets really good. So before I share my story, the answer is we make sure they're out of the house, right? They're very rare. You know what? I've never done a deal where they're still, let me think about this. Yeah, I've never done a deal where they're still in the house after closing. I might let them keep moving stuff out, but I'm not closing until they're out, right? Or I'm not giving them any money up front until they're out, okay? Otherwise, that's a huge mess. And yeah, the contractors end up hating me. But here's the story. So Isla, she gets out. She's getting her stuff out of the garage. Well, anyway, she's like, Casey, I don't have anywhere to take my cats, right? If you guys saw my picture back here, it's got Isla and all her cats. That's why there's cats on this diagram. In case you were wondering why I took the time to draw those cats have a very significant meaning. So she's like, I don't know where to put my cats, Casey. Can I just leave them in the garage? I'm like, and I'm thinking about, I'm going to make $100,000 potentially. You can keep your cats in the garage. We'll do whatever you need, Isla. Okay. So I arrange it. The cats are in the garage. Well, the first call I get is from my contractor, and he's like, his name's Dakota. He goes, Casey, he's like, we got to do something with this cat. He's like, my crew's about to walk out because that cat just bellows like all day long, and they're about to call Animal Protective Services because they can't deal with this cat screaming, and they feel bad about it because the cat's in the garage. And so I got to call Isla, and this is the other, as many deals as I'm doing, I still have to put up with this BS. And I call Isla. I'm like, Isla, we got to get rid of the cat there. And I'm like, Isla, I don't even know if the cat's still there. They may have already called Protective Services. So anyway, we get past this, right? The cat's gone, or at least we think the cat's gone. Well, then I get another call from Dakota, and Dakota's like, Casey, you won't believe this. I'm like, what? All right, let's hear it, Dakota. He's like, we got a serious rodeo over here. He goes, the cat, we thought there was just one cat. Well, we got rid of the one cat. There's two cats, Casey. And while we were working on the house, that other cat went through one of the doors and got into the house, and the cat got up into the ductwork, and now we can't get the cat out of the house. Like, it won't come out of the ducts. And we don't want to go lay carpet and finish this flip, because as soon as we do, we know overnight that cat's going to come out and probably go piss all over the brand new carpet. So we're like, crap, what do we do? So we went round and round trying to get this effing cat. You know what we had to do finally? We've set cat traps. We did all this madness. We finally had to go and cut out all the drywall, or not all of it. We had to go cut open the drywall, and the cat got out. So I cannot confirm whether the cat lived when it was brought out of the house, but the cat is no longer. We got the cat out, we repaired the drywall, and it's gone. So anyway, sorry, that was quite the Yeah, I mean, that cost us at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, honestly, and one really PO'd contractor and some drywall repairs. So I don't know, probably a couple grand on that cat. But anyway, good point. I did not think about bringing that up today when I was building out this presentation about make sure you get the seller out, but also make sure you get all their pets out.
Regarding the probate, did you say the probate is done before they sign a contract with you? Or it's ongoing at the same time? Because probate takes a long time.
Yeah. You know what? I did a revive method a year ago in Cody, and that was still going through probate. And that was part of the pitch. I'm like, hey, probate's going to take you some time. It's going to take me some time to go fix this, right? And I forget, how did we de-risk that? Because part of me is like, well, crap, what if we don't get through probate? But it was a pretty clean probate. And what we did is I think I made her pre-sign the deed and have it, and I had an attorney review it and make sure that, hey, it's just a matter of time to go through it. So yeah, I've actually closed and worked on the flip while they got through probate before, and it worked out pretty good on that one. Ironically, by the time we were ready to sell was right when they were getting through probate.
Okay.
So yeah, you can run them concurrently.
Yes, I guess that will be out for now. Thanks.
Good questions. Okay, who else? Charles, go ahead. Buck, you're up.
Hey, yeah, I just had a idea for Corey's deal as far as the arrears up front. I've heard of people doing this before. I'm not sure if this would work or if it makes any difference, but of people being able to move like the 40K of arrears towards the back end of the note, so you don't have to like pay that 40K up front. I've heard of some people doing that with, pre-foreclosures. Not sure if just an idea, not sure if it's valid, but is that a thing, and would it be helpful?
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. So Buck, yeah, I mean, and surprisingly on a lot of these deals, when they've been in arrears, we've actually closed, and then we had the seller. Isla didn't do that, but a couple of these ones I did, we had the seller negotiating with the bank to get it put on the back end. So that way, yeah, I didn't even have to come up with the 40,000. That's really good thinking, Buck. That's exactly right. And then you don't even, but like, here's the thing, worst case, don't pay it right away and then keep it going. But here's the thing. If you want to, I don't know if I'd call this rolling the dice, but it's going to take them 90 days to foreclose more than likely anyway, right? So if you really want to just roll the dice, and if not, you just go flip the house and get it sold and never worry about it.
I guess I meant because Corey, I know he was saying they only had like a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks. So I was thinking if that's even doable in a situation where the timeline is kind of so short like that.
Yeah, I'm going to guess Corey probably won't have that option because they got to get it done. Okay.
Yeah, I've been talking to them for about 6 weeks. So I cold called them. And what happened was they already had another company that had them under contract, promised the world to them, and they weren't able to come and close it on their end. And then they just recently had found a couple that were going to buy it. And then the couple had something wrong with their credit. And so I was just told yesterday that they are panicking now because now this other company hasn't done it. And so, they wanted to go with me, but, with the 2 weeks left, because, I know we're not supposed to get emotions involved, but, I come from a similar background as the woman. The woman was abused. I was raised in an abusive household myself, and I just want to help her out. Even though if I do it the regular wholesale way, she gets like minimal. So that's why I was asking about this method.
Okay. And then are you opposed, Corey, to me calling her and talking it through?
No, I'm not opposed to that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I got it pulled up. I'm looking at the property now. Promise I will. Robert, don't let me forget. I will come back and show you. I might be able to do this live here. Okay. So I'm checking it out. Listed at 560, basically. So are you working with the agent or
They
the
lowered
seller?
the price a little bit. So what the deal was that they had with the other company was that they were going to sell it for like 491,000, and the other wholesaler company was going to sell it to this end buyer for like 520,000. And like I said, that fell through. They owe like 273,000 on it, and they like what they were offered because then that way she can not only be set up good, but also the husband, even though the husband's an absolute loser, And so again, like I want to make some money here, but also, because of what she's gone through, I don't want to rip her off, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do this. Let's break this down. I think I can answer Robert's question and do this at the same time. Check this out. You guys ready for it? Let's break it in. I'll show you guys how to use my template all at the same time. Okay, so let's go. Let me share my screen real quick. And then, yeah, if you feel comfortable sharing her number, or do you want to, Corey, do you want to text her? Or when I say her, is it the agent or the wife, the seller?
It's the wife I'm talking to.
Oh, that's heck yeah. Thought you were going to give me most people give me the agents. I'm like, oh, that's tough. But yeah, we could work with. Okay. All right. Let me share. But yeah, if you want to text her, Corey, I mean, well, we're good. While I'm kind of breaking these numbers down for everybody, if you want to text her and say, hey, I've got an idea for you with my partner, Casey, that we might be able to get you a little more money. This would be awesome if we could pitch this live. Okay. You guys can see my screen. Okay. So here's how simple this is, guys, is I'm going to go in here. Let me see. Actually, I have two of these. Let me get you guys my more advanced, or not my advanced, my it's actually more simplified. Here we go, revive method templates. And these guys could see there's like, I don't mind sharing this one with you. I've got like probably 15 different deals we've done this on, or at least underwrote it. Not all of them went through, but anyway, all you guys would do is you just go in here, you're gonna duplicate it. All right, here is our template. This is gonna be the one in Washington. Okay, I will change this address before I send out the template to everybody. Promise. Okay, so do we have any idea what you probably do know that, Corey. What does she owe?
Yeah, I'm just looking that up. She sent me a bunch of pictures, so just a second.
Oh, good. Let's keep talking through it, guys. So once we know what she owes, that'll be here, right? And then, look at this. Go ahead.
275,395.
Look at that. All the way down. Okay. Okay. And then you probably have what all do you think would need to be done at the house? Let's just write a couple things.
Well, she's saying 90,000, right? But again, like you said, you don't know until you get into it. So the husband tore up the backyard, gonna create some feature or something, and then never did it. Then tore up the master bathroom, and then it needs a new roof. And when this other couple that were going to buy it, they got a home inspection. They said that there is a leak, and a slight leak. And I was worried about that. So I've asked for pictures of all of that.
In the roof or?
Through in the roof of, like, when they're inside the house, there's a slight leak and they say that it's from the roof. And again, it's like, okay, how extensive is that? Right?
Yeah. Bingo. Okay. The number you guys mentioned was like 90,000.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
We'll just say total. All right. So here's what I would say. Like, again, yeah, we got to be way conservative. Plus, we want to build a profit. So, I mean, let's just spitball here. Let's just say it's 140. We're gonna adjust this all later. We're gonna have to get somebody out here, but I show you guys how to start to look at this, right? So holding costs. This is I just put in. Do you know where roughly her mortgage payment?
The monthly payment?
Yeah.
No, I don't know that.
That's okay. We could figure that out later. But guys, you would just put this in here, but let's say that this where it's going to take us to fix it and sell it 6 months.
Oh, okay? I think it's $1,126.76.
Look at that. All right, 1126. Okay, hey guys, there's a little bit more holding costs with utilities, but we'll just keep that simple. Closing costs, I'm using 5%. All right, now here's the big one. Give me a range, Corey, of like, what do you think this thing would sell for all fixed up in that area?
So comparables in that area range from like 620 to 750, depending on that. That's what I'm seeing on Zillow. So, I guess we go with the low range, but.
No, we wanted both, right? Guys, this is a perfect example. So we want to show her, hold on, I'm going to move all this over a little bit so you guys can see this. Oh, you guys can see I already have the high, right?
Yeah, I texted her and she hasn't responded yet.
That's okay.
She owns a hairstyling company, so she might be cutting somebody's hair right now.
All good, guys. Well, let me show you guys. So talking it through, you guys can kind of see how we're going to pitch this, right? So this is what she owes. We're going to say 140 because we also got arrears, right? We said about 50K in arrears.
Yeah, it's like 49,000
Okay.
600 or something like that.
So this is the big number we got to figure out. So we're going to end arrears. It's like 49,000. Okay. And then sale price. Okay. So now we get a little profit share. This is a number we could play with, guys. Like we might give her the majority of it. I sometimes like telling them, and I like giving them the majority and then me building in my profit into the rehab. But we could put 80%. We could do 50-50. We could do this is something that everybody, gosh darn it, keeps doing that. Darn it. Where'd it go? Okay. So there's 80%. Okay. So then the profit share, so what this calculates, guys, is if we sold it for 620, paid off the loan, the rehab, all the costs, this is what would be left over, right? And that would be, this is WY, that's my company. And then this is what essentially the seller gets, right? So all this is doing is adding the profit share plus the loan amount. You know what? For some reason, it's not doing is this times 80? Oh yeah, this is times 80%. Yep. So this is what they're getting. And then this is plus the loan, right? So what I try to show her is like, so back to Robert's question, right? Robert's like, how do you position this when you're pitching it as a cash offer? So right now, depending on how Corey's pitching this, he's like, yeah, I could take over your loan plus I got to catch up 40,000. So that might be all you could offer her, or maybe you offer her a little bit of cash, right? But what you start to say is, you know what? I can get you 408,000 all the way up to maybe 528. Like I could get you 528,000 for this house if you give me time, right? And that's where I show them, like, I'll always put this on an LOI, like, and I'll give them maybe the cash offer is, let's say it's 300,000 just for round numbers. I could give you 300,000 of which you get like 25,000 cashed out, right? Or maybe you have to get it again. I don't know what you could just quickly cash sell or wholesale this for. But the point I'm going to show them is, hey, I can get you this much money, but you've got to let me go in and fix and flip it. Right. And maybe she doesn't get 80%, maybe it's 75, but you guys see my big variable. So my big variable is going to be this rehab. We got to figure out this. Okay. I'll kind of highlight that. We got to figure out.
I like that you said 140, right? Because especially with that leak, you don't know what it's done to that wall.
Yeah.
Right. Usually when there's like a leak, it's way bigger behind the wall than it is what you see, what you see inside. Right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so if we get a hold of her, my big question would be, well, the next step though, I guess, Corey, is like, before I'll go to guy, let's go. This is a great segue now too, guys. Let me show you how like I pitch this and how it works, right? So when it comes to how I position it, right? And I talked about this a little bit earlier or just a second ago. Okay, I'm going to give them the wholesale cash price, right? And then I talk about retail price, right? I'm like, hey, if you fix this house up, or back to Isla, your house is all fixed up, we could sell it for 500, right? Or the only thing I can offer you right now, back to this example, was 250. I know there's a big gap there, right? But that's where hey, that's where the revive method comes in, and we kind of get the best of both worlds, right? But what I want to show you guys is,
and Casey, the other wholesaler that had the contract with them, they had the deal sell as is, and their end buyer, the one that fell through with their credit, they actually asked the wife, hey, we need you to put the new roof on and do the bathroom, and the price wouldn't change. And she's like, why would I do that? Now I'm going to lose more money. So like with what you're saying here, and this is why I put my hand up to talk, I like your method here, because especially where you're showing it, the low end and the high end, and then also, okay, I can give you the low ball wholesale offer, and then give them all the options, and then she can decide, right?
Bingo. Exactly. Yep. So you can kind of figure out what that number is. Yeah. And that gave me a chance. Thanks, Corey. Because the next step though is Corey's going to need to, we can kind of propose this, but it depends on the, I might not bring it up just yet. I might be like, hey, I need to get my contractor out there to get a bid for this and get an idea. But then again, you don't want to go spend all your contractor's time if there's no. So you could kind of estimate this, be like, hey, I need to get a guy out there, but it could be more than this, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. But anyway, you got to get your contractor out there to talk numbers, because the way I do it is I kind of plant the seed. I'm like, hey, you know what? why don't you let me get my contractor out there? Let me see how much work's done. And would you be open to getting more money in like 30, 60, 90, 120 days, right? And let me go fix this up. And then when I fix it up, you get paid. And if they're open to that, then I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm going to send my contractor. And then I go get that number. And then when it's time, the next step is when it's time to go walk through these numbers, then we start showing them like, okay, hey, this is what it's going to look like. And then that's when I tell them like, but the variables I can control are, sometimes I'll put a little bit more in the rehab and then I'll take a little bit more less in the back end. But again, you guys can just feel that based on the negotiation.
Now, how does that work? Does the house have to be vacant? Because the husband's in there now. And also, how does that work with, I know you, and what was his name? Charles mentioned about having the arrears put on the back end. So do we get the wife to talk to the bank or the trustee, or do we ask her to give us permission to do that ourselves? And how does that work?
Yeah. Okay. If you're trying to get it put on the back end, from my experience, the people on the loan got to do the talking. You can help them. And we even get on 3-way calls and help them work through it. But if they're 2 weeks out, you say they're like 2 weeks out from like the foreclosure steps, like on the courthouse.
The auction is November 8th.
Okay. So yeah, you could, I mean, it's worth a call to say, hey, could we pay something now and then be able to get this thing pushed? That's worth a call for sure. Cause then that could significantly reduce the amount of money to be able to put up front on this thing. But yeah, I would have them call on that. And then, yeah, to answer your first question, the husband's got to be out for sure. Be like, unquestionably, he's got to find somewhere to go, because that gets into the cat situation and all sorts of crap can happen there.
Now she still hasn't answered. So like Casey, later today, if when she's available, are you available or someone in your team available to talk with me?
Well, here's the beauty. I'm going to be here for another hour and a half, if not more, working some other calls. So if she texts you, if you got to hop on and hop back, do it. But I'll just let me know. Raise your hand when she texts you back. But I'm just going to keep going to some other calls.
Okay.
In Casey, there's a Voxer chat created for you and Corey if Corey's on Voxer.
Yep. Yeah. Last thing is too, this is a good example, guys. So anytime you guys want to JV on deals, this is a great example. And we don't necessarily, if you guys need me to close it, we'll JV on it. Also, if I could just help you guys, then that's fine too. But typically anything I do on this call, guys, it's just, I mean, I do that for the benefit of everybody. But yeah, I'm always happy to go in and JV on one of these things. Okay, let me go back to these questions. Actually, Clint, was there any ones that I didn't miss? I know there's a lot of discussion.
I think these are kind of in real time of you guys going over those. So I'm not sure if you want to go over. Liz just sent one in. Dustin had one. Just clarify. Do you have the chat pulled up or you want me to read them?
Yep, I'll go with it. Yeah, I just didn't know if I was going to go. Okay. Yes. Yeah, holding costs. Good point, Dustin. Yeah, on holding costs, again, I'm using 5%. And then I agree. We could go, if we really wanted to narrow this in, you could go put in, we would need to look at taxes and insurance and utilities. So typically what I'll do, guys, is I'll just round this up to like 1,500, like another good quick, I would just call that 1,500 a month. And then we could kind of have our holding costs built out for us. Cool. Yeah. And then, if you're asking me, Liz, we do deals. My primary states are Wyoming, Montana, and now we do Nebraska and South Dakota, even doing some stuff in Utah, but we're looking at deals across the country. We're going to make some live calls across the country with my No One Left Behind team here in about 30 minutes to an hour. So yeah, we look at, we're looking at deals across the country. We're actually getting SEO deals, meaning like, if you don't know SEO or whatever, the quick summary is we're having like, I had a connection through another mastermind where they've got websites, they've got all the SEO built out to where they're getting leads across the country. And they're actually just sending them to us, and we pay them on the deals we close. So really cool opportunity. I'm actually having our students on our team give them a chance to go close these live deals, or at least work them, and then I help close them. So really cool with the No One Left Behind challenge. And guys, on that note, if anybody is interested in like calling, I know a lot of people last week were like, hey, how do I get on your team? I'm not sure how November's going to work, but I did create this kind of hybrid team that's just working our leads. So if you are interested in joining or calling, for sure. Which actually, if you're going to do that, why don't you send me an email? I'll just pop in my Instagram or you know what, Clint, will you share my email in my Instagram page? A direct message to Instagram or an email would be great on that.
Okay, I sent it 1 minute ago, 12:43. It's got your text and your email.
Perfect. All right, cool. All right, guys, let's go back to the presentation here because I do want to start making some calls. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, I think we're ready. So I wanted to call a couple leads today, guys, that I've been working. Hold on. Does anybody else have their hand up? Let me go back. Oh, go. Michelle, did you still have one?
Yeah, I still had one.
Go for it. Fire away.
Okay, so I do Amazon and Uber and Lyft. Well, this was an Amazon trip, and I saw a property. I saw that it was vacant because all the grass in the front was overgrown and everything. It is higher up in, north of San Antonio, but it's still San Antonio. And so I had to skip trace it and everything. And I had to go on to, open corporate, whatever. And so I found one of the owners, got in touch with him. And then he also got in touch with me with his partner broker. So what it is they bought it at auction back in April. They gutted it, and I'm thinking they really overpaid too much, but they didn't even think about selling it until I called, because they've got the broker has a lot on his plate. He owns a ranch in Laredo, and the problem is I don't know rehab numbers, and I'm not going to be able to get a contractor out there to go look at it for nothing. Like, I'm tight on my funds. All my funds that I make go straight to pay my bills. I honestly don't know if it's a deal or not. I did offer I'll give you what you paid for it, but no interest and no payments until it's done.
What's the address?
And on market, 1815 Slumber Pass. I have a something mini video of me looking at a slumber, like sleeping.
Okay.
You're only going to be able to see the outside of the house. So it did have a roof issue. So it's leaked. They've already gutted the whole thing, and they said they spent about $30,000 on dumpsters and gutting it. It's got a 3-car garage. The garage had a leak. All of that. Okay. I think AR after it's done is probably $750, because there's nothing around there to do a comp on it, because it's such a unique build. And the broker partner says $800. There's no backyard. There's a small little area off to the side of the kitchen that could probably be used. You put a fire pit out there or something, and some lawn chairs. But the view from the top is gorgeous.
I bet. Yeah, that's a very unique one. Do you have the phone number for the seller? We could call him?
The broker? Yeah, I texted him, or I tried to call him yesterday, the not broker. And I told him, because I was like, I can't find anybody to come look at it. And I was like, yeah, what you paid is just too high. And I'm like, I just don't think there's probably money made off of it. But if you decide to rehab it, I can get you the money. I was trying to go that route too. But yeah, I don't know which one you want. Do you want the broker, or do you want the non-broker?
Oh, is the non-broker the seller, or who's the non-broker?
They're partners.
Oh, okay. But do they own the house?
Yeah, they own the house. They bought it at auction for $471. Like, I was looked into it, because on Cropwire it's still the old information of the loan. The loan was around 280 something thousand at a 2.8% with $1,700 a month.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, this one, so it sounds like they don't really have it. So this one wouldn't be as much of a revive method. I would call this just a straight sub-2, right? To be a sub-2 flip where, hey, we're going to take over the mortgage and flip it. Or do you think these guys need to get money? Or how much are they expecting, I guess?
It was cash. They paid cash too.
Okay.
So they don't have hard money.
Okay, yeah. So they wouldn't but how much money are they? Oh, so they're wanting to get 471 back, or how much they want to get back?
He's like, we know we're going to lose money on it just because we probably bought it too high. I just don't know how much they're willing to lose.
Oh, okay. Do you have any idea? But all you know is, okay, well, give me his name. I'll call him.
Agent's name is John, Notzon.
Okay.
I'm going to send you his phone number in the chat, private message.
Yeah, this would be a good one. Okay, cool. I got it.
I wasn't sure if it's the innovation.
It could be. Yeah. Now we got a lot of tools up our sleeves now. So let's try John. Here we go.
Hi, this is John Notzon. Hello.
Hey, John, this is Casey Gregersen. Give me a shout on that house in San Antonio. I was actually just talking to Michelle. I'm not sure if you remember her. She was actually, we've partnered on a couple deals, and we were just talking about this house on Slumber Pass. Sounds like you and your partner bought that one for closure. Is that right?
Correct.
Wow, that is a beautiful, very peculiar house, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Wow. You got a quick minute? I was just going to talk through a couple options, see if we can help. So yeah, just to recap, make sure I'm on the same page, but sounds like you just probably weren't ready to go put in all the money that it needs to get that thing up to the ARV. So where you could really sell it, is that kind of situation?
No, we have the cash to be able to finish it. She's the one that, like, is it Michelle Price or Rice?
Yep, Rice. Michelle Rice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Michelle was the one that was seeking us out. We have every intention to moving forward, and we have the capital to be able to do it in cash to finish it. We don't owe a penny on it. So, but since she showed interest of wanting to look at it and, looking at potentially buying it or having investors that were interested, we will entertain different things, but we do have the capabilities of 100% finishing it out. I took a sabbatical for 2-3 months. We were going to close on it on a neighbor that was in the neighborhood that passed by that was interested. That's a realtor investor. And he was supposed to close on it the end of July. I backed out at the last minute, which was fine. And then I had a whole bunch of weddings and different things with family stuff, finishing up my mom's estate in Laredo. So now I'm back and, already getting started with the getting the engineer back out there to tell us the last things that need to be done. And then we're going to start with the roof, do the engineering on the structural, get it dried in. And then at that point, possibly put it on the market as is, let somebody else finish it out. I personally don't want to manage the whole thing, but I met with another person this past week. This week on Wednesday, what day is it? Friday? Yeah, Wednesday. And he's working on getting me a turnkey, finish out construction costs, which is the way I would prefer to do it. If not, I'm going to be out there managing the subcontractors and everybody else. And I personally don't have the time. I do a lot of commercial real estate. But if I have to, I will do it. I mean, it's only 15 minutes away from my house, 10-15 minutes away. I live off of Wilderness, so it's not far away from where I'm at. So at the end of the day, I guess, that's not the case. We have the capital to finish it out. We have every intention of finishing it out. Obviously, we're not going to let our money sit there forever, but I let it sit there a little too long already as it is. So
Understood. Okay.
So
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the context there. Yeah, I mean, the way I'm looking at it is my return. I mean, we do a lot of projects, so maybe I'm a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, not conservative, but strategic with my cash, right? So but what I would do is I would go fund this rehab and do the job. Either way, I guess the way the deal that I could maybe help you, if you're like, hey, we'd rather you go flip it, go make the money, and then you guys get paid once we sell it. Because me to go finance probably, I don't know what you guys are thinking, $500,000, 300, 400,000. My thought would be I could pay more for it if basically we could just step in, flip the house, and then pay you once upon sale, essentially. And we could give you a mortgage, and depending on who held the deed, right? If we held the deed, you'd get a mortgage, or we could do a contract for deed as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, obviously since we own the property, y'all want to put the cash in, that's something that, we would look at the pros and cons of each.
Okay.
But, the way it was originally presented was, you all buy it, but don't pay us out until after it closes, which is fine. My partner was 100% against it. But at the end of the day, the deed would stay in our name. You all put the monies in, but there would have to be timelines. We don't want the thing to sit there and say, because I don't know you all and you all don't know us. So
oh yeah, for sure.
You all start the construction. I mean, there's 1,000 different things that could, mess up, and you all take 2 years to finish it versus, something that's a reasonable time frame. So whatever's a reasonable time frame, you all say, okay, this is what we're thinking. This is what we want to finish it out. And this is what we think we can market it for. And this is the bottom line and how we're going to get out of it. We're going to put 200 and whatever thousand into it. And, this is what we're expecting on our return on our deal. You all owe currently year to date this much. She came out with a number of the, exact cost of what we paid for it, which was $471, which is public record. Since then, obviously, we've had, people in there gutting it 100% down to the studs, getting rid of all the mold and everything else. So, we have another X thousands invested in it, still a little under, we're right at 500,000 with the insurance and everything else that we have on it.
Cool. And that's what I was going to ask, if you don't mind. What are you kind of thinking, just so I don't waste all my time, but if you got the money you got into it, or if you got the 500?
We're not exactly. I mean, if we got the money back and we stayed whole and you all wanted to do it to try to put a little bit more money, finish out and to sell it for X dollars and, make a bigger return, and then we can always have a little, anything above this, we split, a certain amount. The thing is, we're not in control anymore of, y'all would be in control of when it sells, what offer to accept, because, you all are 100% doing the deal.
Bingo.
But at the end of the day, then it's kind of like, okay, well, we know that we have to give them a drop dead date, because we're not going to sit on it forever. So there has to be some ticklers in there. So it's like, okay, well, at this point, now y'all need to drop the price because y'all are asking $1.1 million. It's not going to sell for that. And we need to, be realistic, even if we all just become whole at one point, because at the end of the day, if we do it ourselves, we know that, hey, at the end of the day, somebody comes in with an offer and we're going to lose $20,000. Him and I can agree, okay, $10,000 each we lose, but we get our capital investment, our investment of what we put back into it, $200,000 to do the rehab.
Yep.
And we're out of it and we're 100% in control. We're not waiting for anybody else. And, we screw up and it's done. But if you all screw up, then we're still holding the bag, Once the rehab is done in horrible condition, the reason why that home is the way it is right now is because whoever built it like shit. They didn't do a nice job. The parapets weren't, sealed properly. They didn't have the, thing that goes above the parapets, which sucked up the water and created all the water damage on the inside, which created all the mold. And then, the roof had some issues. So there was a lot of different things that happened, and it's hard when you want to give up control. I'm in a position to where I don't mind giving up control because I don't want to be 100% with my time invested in it, because I know I'm not going to get a return on my time. My time is worth a lot more to me today in a whole bunch of commercial projects I'm working on. So, So if the numbers make sense and a proposal makes sense, it's something that we could definitely consider and move forward with. But, and it's having checks and balances that are in place with, drop dead dates, that if rehab doesn't start within, X days, then you all are forfeiting your deal and we're going to move forward to finish it out. And there has to be some, like we said, you don't know us, we don't know you, but we're taking faith that you all know what you're doing to do the rehab and it's done properly, because if it's not done properly, we have the bulk, we have over, if you put in 200, we have, 500 in it. I mean, we have, 200% above what you're putting into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Yeah, no, I'll track it with you. Well, let's do this. Now everything you said is completely reasonable. So I think, John, so what I would think, I want to get my contractors out there to kind of get a feel for what we think it's going to cost us to finish it. And then I can finish kind of some of my comps. But yeah, sounds then like you'd be open to, what I'll just do at that point is I'll send you
Carl is a bit more conservative. Carl has more money than I do. So, and he's my brother-in-law. So at the end of the day, we both have the monies to finish it. So, putting in the additional monies to finish it is not an issue. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm doing the majority of all the work for the rehab because that's not Carl's forte. And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 plus years.
Yeah.
We paid too much for it, so at the end of the day, we know that we paid too much for it with we weren't anticipating the extensive rehab that it is. When you're guys go out there to look at the numbers, the way that I see this making more money is adding square footage that doesn't cost, the 200 and whatever dollars a square foot that we're going to try to sell it for. It's going to cost $50 a foot to add this additional 500 because you're not adding foundation. Maybe the double height, great room, we have more square footage there. We can probably add about an additional 400 to 500 square foot, depending on what needs to be done there. If we had some additional foundation between the garage and the kitchen, that obviously is more costly because it's foundation, it's everything else. But adding it within the structure that's currently there, it'd be a lot more economical to add 500 square feet with sheetrock, wood, and electrical, and some HVAC into those additional rooms or whatever. But those are some of my ways of I'm looking at getting the sales price in the upper 800s. If rates drop and you become into a seller's market, somebody from the East Coast, West Coast sees this unique, one of a kind castle looking house that's finished out super nice. $1 million ain't going to be nothing to them, or 950,000 is not going to be anything. And then that's where it becomes a very profitable deal. It's looking at what's your break even point you know, is it 180,000, 150,000 at cost, or is it 200 at cost? You know, your cost to do the rehab. So then you know what you're going to be putting into it, and knowing what you want to get a return on that 200,000 plus, you know, any uptake from that, depending on how nice. It's like everything. If you finish it out super nice, people will pay a premium. Sometimes finishing out just basic, you'll still get the same return, because some people aren't going to pay the premium for that different type of a countertop, or that different type of flooring, or the different type of light fixtures, or what have you. But, you know, it has to be, you know, very tastefully done and nicely done for to get, you know, what the market's calling for.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we fixed and flipped it a lot, so I'm tracking with you. Well, John, let me do this. I don't want to take any more of your time, but yeah, let me see if I can get a contractor out there, and then I'll put together a one pager with kind of what we're thinking, and then you can give me some feedback on the term.
Contractor has access to it. The back door is open. The side door is open. The garage door is locked. If they need to get into the garage and look at that, they can look through the windows of the garage, the garage door windows. But if they want me to open up the garage, just give me a heads up when they're going to be there, and I'll be more than happy to open up the garage for them.
Awesome. All right, John. Appreciate the help. I appreciate all the transparency.
And if you would just do me a favor, this is my cellular. Could you text me your contact, and I'll forward you my full contact business card?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
And what was your name again?
Casey Gregersen.
Casey, it's a pleasure. I look forward to getting your contact info, and I'll send mine right now as well.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
I'll see you. Bye. Cool. All right, you guys that's probably the least I've ever talked on an entire seller call. He just spilled everything, right? Just told me everything. Just listen, right? In the meantime, I got ready for my next call and my call after that, and I kept up with the chat. But anyway, hopefully Michelle was taking a lot of notes, though. That guy, lots of everything you need there. But Michelle, let me know what you think. Here's my thoughts, though. That is unique, guys. I will tell you, there's not too many people who will even consider letting, because essentially that guy would do that deal, no money down, to where somebody could just come in and pay for the rehab. So, and the fact that it's open access, that makes it easy too. Because initially I'm thinking about, all right, I gotta get people through there. Because I mean, I'm in Houston. Is that a project I would want to do? Probably not, but I think there probably is somebody in San Antonio, right, Michelle? So I'm thinking I would get some contractors out there, and who knows, a contractor might love that flip himself, right? And then you could just say, and this is a great, easy way to make a $10,000-$20,000 wholesale fee. Be like, hey, get into this deal for 10 to 20,000, and then they go flip it. But yeah, as we know, we got to figure out that ARV, which we were talking about. Sounds like comps are all over the place, so that's scary. And then the other thing is the rehab budget. But from that, then we can go send him an LOI. But what do you think, Michelle? Any questions?
Yeah, there was an area that he was talking about upstairs that he was talking about making the fourth bedroom, because it is a 3, 2.5.
Okay.
And just add some floor and build walls for that fourth bedroom. And then he was talking about putting the easement between not the easement, but the whatever, from the garage to the back door. Okay. And please, I've got the address, so please, if you're in San Antonio, don't just go over there and start looking at it. He said that it was open, so they did take off a side door. That's the only reason why you can get into the house.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, we won't go publicly share that part of it, but anyway, but yeah, Michelle, let's keep working this one. Let me know. I mean, if you could firm up some of those numbers, that's what I would do. But I think this one's worth your time to keep following up. And then the biggest thing is just finding that end buyer, right? Now you can go reverse wholesale this thing and say, hey, here, I got a deal for 10, 20K entry fee. All you got to do is pay for the rehab. I think contractors are a great source for this one, because they're going to need to verify it anyway.
Well, I just can't find any in San Antonio that are in sub 2. I mean, I have a contractor on my phone, but like I said, I don't know how much he would cost just to go look at it. He's going to charge something to go look at it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Here's what I would do. I would, why don't you do this, Michelle? Go put a post in Facebook, the sub 2 group, tag me and say, hey, I was with Casey today. We negotiated this deal. You don't have to put the address, but hey, if there's anybody that either has contractors or is looking for a big fix and flip with a very low entry fee, let us know. And then I would see who and then I think that person would go out for free, right? And vet the deal and get a rehab on it. But like you say, we're not just going to go share the address and tell people to show up, but that's what I would do to get some. I know there's a lot of people that look at San Antonio and sub 2.
So post in there to see if there's any contractors or flippers.
Yep, exactly. Deal. Yeah. But who knows? I mean, it's not even a bad idea to track some wholesalers in San Antonio because those guys might have more contractor connections that would go look at it.
No, but the problem is everybody wants the address, and Chino Monte told me for the last 2 years, stop giving away the addresses. Somebody will take that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to once they get going on it, but yeah, I wouldn't do it on the first post, right? Like I would just once people reach out and they say they're serious, be like, okay, here's the deal. So just tell them the situation. Here's the deal. It is unlocked. You can go look at it, but yeah, and you're just gonna find luckily in this community, people aren't gonna. Oh, either way, I would talk to somebody, kind of vet them, and then I would have them go look at it.
Okay, but
And
you're 10 to 15% down because I don't think he was even wanting to do the offer that I did because he had mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he didn't. Well, yeah, I guess I did. He was just talking and talking. So my thought is, it doesn't really matter what he says. When we put something on paper, that's when we can get some movement. But we need to go, guys. This is what we call reverse wholesaling, right? We need to go find our end buyer, see what they're willing to pay. We try to negotiate it, right? Yes. Can our end buyer cut us out? Yeah, technically, but those people don't typically stick around, and they're not usually a part of sub 2.
Okay.
I like it though. Good one. The best ones you brought. Good job, Michelle. Love it. Okay, cool. All right, let's go. So I'm going to call, I know 2:00. Corey said she's right. So I assume that is 2:00 Central Time, right? Or in about 50 minutes, Corey, we can give the wife a call. So that'll be an awesome wrap up.
Hers, sorry, it's 1 p.m. Pacific.
Oh, okay. So 3:00. Okay, 3:00 my time. Okay, that's okay. I'll record that one. If I'm not still on here, I did do a 4-hour call a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I'm happy to call her. Okay. We might not go that long today though. Awesome. Well, let's do, okay, cool. And even checking out the chat, looks like there's a couple connections. So this is so cool. Love this community in which you guys are already collaborating. I know I might know a guy. Look at all this. Look at the chat going crazy. Love it. Okay. So I want to go back to Cynthia. Cynthia, you said he was ready for a call, right? Do you want to send me that address again so I can pull it up?
Yeah. Yes, I just emailed it to you.
Oh, perfect. I'll go to my email. Okay. I'm going to do this one for sure. This is going to be great. I'm just giving you as a caveat. The only challenging thing is going to be here. This is a very, not abstract. It's kind of like a big multifamily where it's like, you got to go do a bunch of underwriting and really know the numbers. And it's going to be a big time investment. But what I think I could do, Cynthia, is I could call him, and he was really nice, really kind. And I think I can start to frame it up and be like, hey, you mentioned there's a lot of value add here. I would love to be able to pay you the most. I'm assuming you want the most out of this property. Would you be open to me going in and making this property achieve what you said it could achieve, and then we pay you after that? You think that's kind of what I'm thinking? You agree?
Yeah, when I did the numbers on it, it's always $1 million more. So there's 89 units, and he sent me the rent log on paper, and I had to take that paper rent log. It took me a week to set up a spreadsheet and just every month put in all the numbers on it. So I finally got it done. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I did one full year. So I did 2023, and it went from 54,000 down to, I think, like 49. It dropped about 5,000 from January to December. It sort of fluctuated around 50 the first 6 months of 23, and then dropped the last part of 23. So there's the vacancy has increased a little bit, right? So but I think it's definitely a fixer. And definitely what would need to be fixed is the new mobile homes brought in, 8 more pads added, maybe the hotel, the cabins and the hotel could use some renovation. And I had it, I think it will perform. The way I saw it was at like 4 million. So just as it is when it dropped, I redid the numbers once I redid the rent log, I redid the numbers at the 23. The average came out to about 50,000 a year. And when I redid the numbers, it still was $1 million above. So that's with it even dropping. So I really think that the rehab, there's over 500 to 600, maybe $1 million to be made. That's something that I'm not. If you tell me what to underwrite, tell me to put some stuff together, it's time consuming, but I will do it if you tell me what you need me to do to help find out if this is a really good multifamily fix and flip.
Perfect. And then because remind me, I don't have my notes in front of me. How much was he kind of hoping to get? Was it like 2.5 million or something?
Yeah, it was 2.7. And then he said he'd definitely do seller financing.
Yep.
He said, shoot me 2 offers, give me 2 different offers. And he said, you would be saving my life if you did this. So I think it's because he's stressed too thin and he's trying to operate it and not let it fall apart before he sells it. The broker said, I don't know what time when this guy sleeps. He owns multiple businesses in Kansas City.
You're right, Cynthia. This is spot on. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just going to tease it a little bit more. And that way, guys, we could just send this guy an LOI and put it down on paper, but I want to frame it up for him so he kind of knows what he's looking at.
Right. And I sent you an LOI, Casey, yesterday on Voxer.
Oh, okay.
I made one and I made 3 options on it. So I asked for you to look at it. One was full price with 5 to 7 years. The 5% down was with 100% of the money going towards the principal. And the first one was the cash offer at 1.6.
Oh, this is awesome, man. You guys, this is so cool, Cynthia. Okay. All right. I'm going to share this with everybody. You're okay with me doing that, right, Cynthia?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is cool. Guys, this is an awesome example of, and how many deals have you done, Cynthia?
In the community, I have not done any yet.
Okay, cool. And your background is more, what's your background really quick?
Well, I've managed 76 stores. I've basically owned them on a rent-to-own basis. So I started doing sub 2 a long time ago. So managing 76 stores, I've had to learn how to, hire people to help and scale a little bit. But I kind of lost them all. I got in some lawsuits because he put all of the 76 stores in one payment. And when I couldn't make that payment, he started foreclosing on a few of them. And so I had like 18 single families. I had 4 multifamilies. Yeah, I'm down to like 2 of his multifamilies, and we were trading some properties with some attorneys. So I've had some experience. I consider myself on the comeback.
I like it. So cool, guys. And I'm sorry, and his name, I got his phone number right now. What was the guy's name?
Well, his name is John.
John, another John. Okay. All right, let me go. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, guys, so really cool example of like, guys, what the next steps are to start taking action and making offers and underwriting, right? So this is just I think this is a perfect example of what everybody could do because again, like guys, we talk about deals, right? And I'm working a lot of other ones, but Cynthia is taking the time, and I haven't looked at this, Cynthia. I'm going to now because, man, I love that you've taken the time to do this, but she's gone through and like given them options. She did all this underwriting, which you could see. These are all these different Google Sheets. If you open one of them. Like
open that, Casey. That is me hand putting in all that. I'm taking the information off a handwritten rent log that they faxed. They took pictures of it.
Wow.
And I put it in a spreadsheet, and then I've just summed it down at the bottom of it. So I went every month. It took me days to put this together.
Oh, wow. I'm very impressed. Okay. All right. So, and then we're going to talk through what I'm going to talk to on the call and where I'm thinking, but okay. So 1.6, I love it. So, Cynthia basically made a pretty low cash offer just in case the guy's just like, I want cash, but actually none of us prefer that option because that option requires going and finding a bunch of money, but we could do it if we had to. Option 2 is seller finance. Cash to the seller would be, 10% down. Seller receive payments on the remaining purchase price over 7 to 10 years. Buyer pays, it is listed, huh? 81,000. Man, get that.
Yeah, I didn't know. Is that 3%? I have not sent this over, so I need you guys to look at it.
That's okay. No, it's all good. Does he have an agent?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'll talk to him about that. Like, again, I work with agents all the time, but it's hard, like paying that much on this deal where the agent is not going to bring us much value on this, but we'll figure that out. So hopefully we can cut that down.
Right.
Buyer pays closing costs, 45 days, closing as his purchase. Buyer. Okay. Option 3, 5% down, 2.7 million. Okay. So the difference there, all payments. Okay. Yeah. So I could help you, Cynthia. This is not a bad start, guys. And I like it. You kind of used your own little template, which is good. But guys, this is the same thing I do, right? It's a cash offer and it's 2 different options. You're saying, I see what you're saying. This one is a little bit less down payment because this was 10%, right?
Right.
And then this one is
I'm asking for down. If I give less, can all the payments go to principal?
Got it. Oh, and then on this one, you would have some interest.
Yeah, I was promissory note with monthly payments. I don't know what interest rate to put in. I don't know what's a good one for commercial.
Okay.
So I needed help.
Cool. So what I would typically do if I'm varying two options, this one, if I'm going to go less money down, I might offer them a higher purchase price just because they're going to feel like they're taking a little more risk, and we're going to like it because it's less money we have to fund to deal with. The big question we're going to need to know is how much money we need to put into this to be able to increase the value. But yeah, I like it. I think I'm going to give him a call just to keep this going. But guys, these are the ones that I spent a lot of time. Like if I get a deal like this in my business, like this reminds me of the 45 unit I did, and I just bought. And I bought it for 2.3 million, and I'm fixing it up right now. If you guys saw my story, I was posting, we're putting on the roof this week. Like this is a multifamily that I paid myself on the front end. I'm going to be able to refinance, pay all my investors and all my the seller back and hold it, and it's going to be an asset, like one of those life-changing assets. So this reminds me a lot of that. So
yes, that's what I'm ready for. I'm ready for a life-changing asset.
There you go. And the reason is because because he's open to it, right? We found the right guy with the right motivation, with a good asset that has a bunch of upside. And then Cynthia's taken the time to start to look at the numbers. So, all right, let's try John. Love it. Anybody else excited about this one? Hopefully we're still hanging tight with how many we got here after. I gotta scroll down. Yeah, everybody's pumped. I love it. Cool. All right, guys, here we go.
Please call the office. Yeah.
Wait, I'm calling the 3894. Is that the one you called, Cynthia?
217, no,
Okay, go ahead.
217-202-0924, I think. Hang on, I'm gonna look just to double check.
Okay.
217-202-0924.
Funny thing, I was checking, I had a text from Pace. I'm like, wait, was Pace, because it says Pace Morby's on here, but I figured it was the system. But anyway, it was something for Owners Club, but I was excited for a second. Figured you guys would get a kick out of that. But okay. All right. Here we go. Try a different one for John. The anticipation is building. Here we go.
Hello, this is John.
Hey, John. It's Casey Gregersen again. Give me a shout. Hey, I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing good, thank you.
Awesome. Well, if you remember me and Cynthia, did Cynthia tell you I was going to give you a call?
She did.
Okay. Awesome. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, great. So Cynthia has done a bunch of she went through did a bunch of work on looking at your guys' kind of some of the numbers, and we've been digging deep. So yeah, we're pretty excited about this one. It's a pretty, as I think we talked the first time, it's a really cool asset that, I don't know. So I do a lot of bigger multifamily, and we've just, I don't know, this one reminds me of several other ones I've done where there's just an opportunity for us to go in and improve it and make it worth that much more. And then typically we'll refinance and then basically hold it for long term. A lot of times we get all our money back, and it's, I don't know, those are the best deals, right? When you can find them,
absolutely,
do the value add. So we're pretty excited about this one. So what we here's something, we've got the LOI ready to go for you, but I wanted to see if I could throw one more thing onto it and see but give me your feedback before I put it on there, because I want to frame this up to where it makes the most sense. Does that work for you?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So knowing that you probably, in a perfect world, you said you're willing to seller finance, but I'm going to assume in your perfect world, the sooner you can get cashed out, the better. Or actually, are you worried about capital gains? Would you rather stretch it out and not pay capital gains, or would you rather have all the money?
Well, I'm just the agent, so I believe they would probably prefer just to get cashed out all at once and not spread it out, but they are willing to spread it out some if that would help the buyer.
Got it. Okay. Wait, so is it you, John, that I talked to the first time, or I swear I talked to the seller?
You talked to Mitch.
Oh, I talked to Mitch. Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, got it. Okay, well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is I want to put something together for Mitch where we would basically flip it. And it's not a flip in 3 months, obviously, but what I'm thinking is we go into it. Well, because because if you were doing value add, I guess one thing would just be get up, increase, or what would you do? What do you think is the best thing to increase the value of this? You think it's just filling it up or adding more structures, or what would you do?
I would definitely add more either RV sites or trailer sites for the mobile homes.
Okay.
And I would definitely raise the rates too. I think they're still a little bit under market. So.
Okay, got it. So what want to propose to him is we go in and we do this over 12 months. Maybe we need 24, but we're going to go as fast as we can, right? Because we'll make our money when we can flip it. My thought is, and I guess you're an agent and a broker, if we did stabilize this thing, increase rents, how big of a market is there for people to buy something that's stabilized, turnkey, ready to go and making good money?
Well, that's, it's already bringing in nearly 600,000 a year. So, if you increase that, I can't imagine that, there would be any difficulty at all selling this at a premium.
Got it. Yeah. I just didn't know how many buyers there are for this asset. in that area.
My buying pool's national, so
Okay.
I'm sure there's some of their national or local as well. But odds are that if you come in and make these improvements, it'll be a out of area investor that would be purchasing it.
Makes sense. Okay. And what kind of cap rates are you seeing that are trading if it's kind of stabilized and proven?
Well, for non-institutional type properties, with the current interest rate environment, we're probably still in that 8 to 9 on average.
Okay. If that's where it'll sell at, you're saying on the back end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
And if interest rates come lower, then obviously the value of the park goes up tremendously. So
Yeah. And sorry, in the 600,000, it's not, I don't have numbers in front of me. Is that net? That's like NOI?
no, that was gross.
Oh, that's gross. What's net?
Net. I don't have it in front of me. I think it was around 275 or something like that.
275 net. I'm just running some quick numbers on it. But I mean, even as is, so based on that 275, if we divide that by say just because 0.09. Did I do that right? Yeah. Divided by a cap rate. I'm just trying to see what that
Let me pull up the no
3 million. Yeah, that's about 3. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm kind of thinking is this is what I'm going to propose on there for Mitch. Essentially, we would close on it, buy it. I would go in and I would make these improvements and we'd sell or finance it, right? But the way we would structure it is little to no, like I want to be able to put all my money into the improvements and into the staff and like just I want to ramp this thing up as fast as we can. So I know Mitch was open to doing that, but I mean, here's the caveat, right? It's okay. There's two contrasting things, right? There's total purchase price to him, and then there's down payment. My preference is let's keep our down payment low so it's less capital I got to go come up with and I could put it into the deal, right? Do you think he would look at both options, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I know he's got a note on the property that he's going to have to take care of. So that's probably going to be the limiting factor.
Is it through it's through a local bank?
I believe so.
Okay. But yeah, so that's what we would do. And you tell me, I haven't.
Yeah, it's with the Bank of Odessa.
Bank of Odessa. Okay. Yeah. So here's what I would do is like, we would keep that in place, right? We would keep making those payments. And then, and we could set this up as a contract for deed or whatever we think is the best way based on this bank. Yeah. And that way we leave that in place. We go fix it up and we go put the money in to fix it up. And yeah, we just have an agreement, let's say 12 or 24 months, then that's how much time we have to go in and fix this up. And then we repay. And then when we do that, we sell it, we pay. Or the other option is we might just go refinance it. If rates drop, hell, we might just refinance it, pay off that loan, pay off Mitch, and be out of it, and then everybody's happy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've got a hard time. Mitch is going to be too welcoming to a wraparound situation right now. But so send me your offers and some options, and let's put it in front of him and get some dialogue going and see if we can get something to work here.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and just to clarify, I wouldn't, and I know you're probably just using general terms, but I wouldn't call it a wrap, right? This would just be we go create. I mean, do they do contract for deed in the state? Do you guys do land sales?
Well, they can be done either way.
Yeah, however you want to set it up. So I would say we just set it up like that, right? We get a third party escrow. We make the payments to the escrow company. They pay the lender, and that way everybody's protected. And then obviously all the documents are signed on the front end, and that way it's like really clean, right? It's very clear that if we don't make our payments and we don't hold up our end, we lose everything we got into it. And then when we do hold up our end, we get the deed and everything gets sold. And I don't know, typically it works really well and the banks are happy. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of risk, or I don't really see any risk to Mitch, but am I missing anything though? What would his risk be?
If something bad would happen and you went into default, or something happened that added liability, someone got severely injured on the property and maybe they sued for more than the amount of the insurance would cover. I'm just thinking.
Yeah. Those are good ones.
Worst case scenarios. So
yeah, no, that's good.
I mean, most attorneys, and I'm not an attorney, but most attorneys are always preach against this sort of thing just because of any potential risk. But he is motivated to sell. They do want to sell it. If we can find a way to make it work, then putting an offer in front of them is the first step, and we can keep tweaking it till hopefully it works for both parties and we can get across the finish line.
I like it. You're exactly right. And yet, like you said, a lot of those things you can mitigate with, and those are like due diligence things that you guys would do. Like, hey, all right, how much insurance is going to be carried? Those other little things, but
absolutely.
But yeah, well, as you know, an attorney could talk you out of anything. But I know the attorneys I work with, they like the structure because the other nice thing is he doesn't have to foreclose, right? Let's say we stop making payments, we don't hold up our end, which if he did that, or if that happens, he doesn't have to foreclose. Literally, he just lets the escrow company know, hey, he's in default. Then they literally transfer the deed back, and that's one nice thing. Cause a lot of times people are like, I don't want to go for the foreclosure and all that BS and let the property get drug out for 90 days. It's like a 30-day deal where if we don't hold up our end, then he takes it back and I lose. I don't know. We're incentivized to perform because when we do it this way, right, we're taking the risk. Because if, like, say, just things went bad or we had a rough couple of months, like, we can't have a rough couple of months. We got to make the payments. Otherwise, we lose everything we have into this thing.
Yep. What are you thinking for down payment?
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same thing. So I'll be honest with you. A lot of these deals, we do sometimes nothing, sometimes 0 to 5, but a larger deal like this, we typically do 5%. I mean, it depends, right? If I'm buying it and it's like turnkey ready to go, yeah, we'll put 10% down, maybe more. But on a deal like this, where I'm going to be putting a big chunk down or putting chunk into the like improvements, I would propose probably around 5%. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I know my commission alone is 6%, so he'd have to bring money to the table day one.
But I'm saying we'll leave the loan in place. Like, loan stays in place. The 5% would literally go to him. And essentially it's our, if you want to call it earnest money. I mean, it's our down payment that if not only do I lose all the money and effort that I put into it, but I would lose that if we didn't hold up our end of the contract for deed.
Yeah. I'm guessing, we, like I said, we can put anything in front of him and start the conversation, but I'm guessing he's probably gonna want more money down, but,
Okay.
willing to start with whatever you send over. So.
Okay. Fair enough. Awesome. All right, John. Well, thanks for taking the time and we'll work on this LOI and we'll be in touch.
Okay. And also if you could send over like some sort of proof of funds, and like something on like a bio on your investment portfolio, just anything that will make Mitch feel more comfortable with your ability to manage this and maintain it going forward.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I got all that stuff for you. And I'll put it in my LOI. My LOI's got a little bit about our company, but I can also attach more about us and we could do a proof of funds. Oh, you know what? Sorry. Now I just caught what you said. I completely went over the top of that and I missed it. Yeah. As far as the commission, yeah, you said his commission is 6%. Okay. So on that deal, yeah, I mean, how open would you to be like, I mean, okay, first off, I'm not going to be represented. So we should be able to cut out. I know that's between you and him, but I would think at least we could cut out 3%, pay you 3%, because I don't need to be represented. And we've done a lot of these transactions. So we don't need to be represented, but I'm hoping that could help some of the money down.
Well, it's going to be 6% regardless, because we're actually not offering any compensation to any other buyer brokers. So long story short, and I don't know, I was brought in kind of as the hired gun. So Mitch approached a realtor who approached another realtor who didn't think he was qualified. So I kind of got daisy chained. So there's 3 of us brokers that are splitting it 33%. So we're each getting 2. So Mitch is going to have to give us 6%. I'm more than glad to represent you and do the paperwork and do all that stuff on your side as well with no additional charge. But, it's still, Mitch is going to be out 6% at closing.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a challenge, to be honest with you. When we've done a lot of these deals and I don't know. Okay, John, what would you do in my shoes? Right. So like we're interested in the property. That's like 6% more that I'm going to have to tie up in capital. I mean, one way we do it is sometimes we put on the back end, but I'm curious what you would recommend, because for me, it's like, oh man, we don't. Okay. I work with agents. Go ahead.
Yeah, just in the LOI. Like I said, it's the start of the conversation. We'll put it in front of him and we'll get his feedback. And, before we worry about, commission and all that stuff, we need to see if he's even open to, this sort of scenario before we get too far. So just, if you would, send me the LOI, send me proof of funds, send me your bio, and we'll present it in front of Mitch, and we'll start talking and see if we can find a way to make it work for both you guys.
Perfect. Okay. All right. That sounds good, John. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
See ya. All right. Bye. All right. Well, overall good call, but I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
And I'm frustrated because I didn't realize it was the agent.
Yeah, Casey, I think that first number what was the first number you were dialing?
Yeah, it was the 816-405-3894.
That's probably Mitch.
I bet it is. Dang it. That's my fault. Well, either way, it's okay. At the end of the day, we're not going to go around the agent. And that was a good, honest conversation with him. So that's okay. And I love the chat here. Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. Are you kidding me? You think you deserve 6%? And I wonder how long these guys have been trying to sell this thing, but let's, hold on. Let's just try it one more time though, just because we're on topic. I'm going to text him too. Anyway, then we could do some questions on that. That's a pretty complicated one, guys, but I do like it. I like where it's going. I love everything about paying freaking 6%. What a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5% down is not going to work. You can't even pay my commission. You're freaking bringing that much value. But anyway,
Casey, on the cap rate, did you say that it only would sell for 3 million?
I was going off current, like say we don't mess with it. Yeah. Am I doing the math right? So I did 275,000 divided by say a 9 cap rate. That's 3 million, right? Just over 3.05 million.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's if we didn't do anything to it, right?
Yes.
But yeah, let's say that you could bump that up, like with all these value add, then that's how we increase our value. Or go ahead. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Because when we talked to Mitch, he had said to take out, when we talked to him directly, he said the best thing to do was to take out the mobile homes, and he was going to invest 250,000 into putting in new mobile homes right in there. And then he was going to add eight new pull-throughs right on the side by where Love's is.
Yes, I remember him saying that on Outer Base Road.
So should I send the LOI?
Not yet. So let's get a hold of Mitch, because again, I want to that was a good example, guys. Because I was speaking like I was speaking to an agent like a seller most of the time, right? But there's not a bad idea. Sometimes we actually get the best of both worlds, guys, because we get to talk to the agent and figure out what he has from the seller. This is actually pretty good, because now I know a lot more. I've got more going into the conversation. Now, when I go talk to Mitch, now I can kind of pick and pull and know how to frame things up better. Because ultimately, we want to test Mitch out for, hey, like, would 5% down? Really, what I want to ask Mitch is, Mitch, like, how much do you need down? Like, if I could get you your full price, if I can get you 2.7 in 12 to 24 months, would you be okay with me would you be okay with the 100K down, maybe 50K down? Like, would that be enough for you? And it's like, but when you so you don't want to work through the agent the whole time, but it's not a bad idea if that makes sense, guys. Like he gave us some information. Now we can go dig a little bit deeper. And then once we get something, then we're going to go back. But yeah, heck no, I am not sending a freaking LOI to that agent, letting the agent, you think I trust that guy to go present this deal on our behalf? Like, not like, well, sometimes that's your only option. But in this case, we want to go pitch it right to Mitch.
Right. What number did you have for Mitch again?
816-405-3894.
Okay. 3894.
That was the one. And I just got that from the first page of your little PDF you sent me.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, we'll see if he calls back. And I texted him as well. But this is good. I like it. This is one where I'd love to help you work, because this is good stuff here. And I think, yeah.
Would you put your construction people over there?
I have a crew that drove from Houston up to Wyoming. So potentially, yeah. But it sounds like the value add would be just bringing in new trailer or hauling out crappy ones and hauling in new ones, essentially.
Maybe the cabins. There's 18 cabins, right? And there's there's motels in there too. And he was saying something about the air conditioning. He was saying, when you talk to Mitch, he was saying that right now he's covering all the electrical expenses. And he was saying to change it out. If he were to take, to keep going, he would change out the electrical and make it to where the tenants pay. Because right now he's got it to where he has to pay everything. So that's tying up a lot of his expenses too, on probably about 40 of the units. He's paying all the electrical bills.
Got it. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Lots of little. So these are little ones I'll let you run with Cynthia and figure out. Yeah. We could start to quantify, like, here's my steps. And this isn't necessarily the best way to do it, but my thought is I want to talk to Mitch, the seller. Once we talk to Mitch, and I'm going to come back to Tabor's good question in a second, but we'll talk to Mitch, kind of get a feel for what he might be acceptable. Then we'll send an LOI. Then once we get the LOI back and some feedback, then we can dive deeper, right? Then we could really, like, once we got them saying, like, you know what, we'll do 15% down and 2.7 million and paid off in 24 months. Like, once we have those, then we can go dive deep and be like, all right, what is our exact strategy? Because then we can figure out how we're going to raise the money for it. What's the cost of it? And we could really frame up. Like, that's how I've done my past deals, right, guys? Like, I go kind of pretty much get the terms agreed to, then I really dive deep into underwriting.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
But luckily you've got the majority of the stuff. It won't be hard. It'll just be figuring out the strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. Just tell me what else you want me to do on it once you fit. And I'll spend the time doing it. And like I said, I've got a private lender that I've worked with in the past, and I paid him off his notes. So I just talked to him yesterday because I'm doing another deal with Dustin Kircher on a mobile home park down in Montgomery. And we're going to ask him this afternoon to be a sponsor. And he's already told me, I don't know if I want to do all that paperwork with the bank, but I do have cash to lend. So I was thinking with you on this one, we could do he could come in as a capital partner.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we could structure the contract for deed and all that, so everybody's protected. So yeah,
Right.
pretty cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Cynthia. If he calls back, I'll let you know, or text back.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Really quick, Charles, if you haven't, thanks, appreciate it, man. I will make sure I share that Revive method template on the Sub2 Facebook group, and I'll tag you guys. So if you guys, here's the other thing you do. You can go search my name or search Problems to Profits afterward, and we'll have that link for you guys. But glad you came in today, Buck, and enjoyed it. We'll keep doing a couple more calls here. Answer Tabor's question as far as could they sue? Is it okay to go straight to Mitch, or can the agent sue you? Well, first off, he can't sue me, but I mean, I guess you could sue somebody for whatever you want, but I'm not taking a risk. What the risk is, yeah, if we went, and it was a good answer by Dan, the risk is if we went and paid, like, let's say we went and did the deal, we cut out the agent, we somehow never talked to him, he got completely cut out, sold the property. The contract is between that seller and the agent. So that agent could go back to him, be like, hey, you owe me 6%, and point to the contract. That can absolutely happen. But I don't really have a whole lot of risk. I mean, unless I'm an agent. I know some agents don't feel comfortable, as they probably should. They don't like to go do this because they could just kind of get blackballed as an agent. But me as a direct to seller, it's like, I don't have any obligation to work with you. But again, I also try not to be a jerk either. And I always just politely be like, hey, can I please just talk to your seller so I can help solve your problem? Cool. All right. Was there any other questions? If you sent a question that I missed, pop it in here. Yeah, I agree. If the agent didn't sell it, why should they still get a cut? Is there a clause? I mean, yeah, they maybe did. Yeah, you know what? Maybe that might have been it, that he had an exclusive for a certain amount of time. I don't know. Just freaking agents. That's the first time I've ever heard of 3 agents got to get paid. It's like, oh, whatever. But I mean, the crappy thing is it's going to be hard to get something agreed to because 3 people got to agree to a commission. But anyway, we'll cross that crap when it goes. I probably shouldn't. I don't know if I should go into this one, but another way I've seen it done, and I've talked to an attorney about this before, we could set up a lease to own where we decide to buy this thing after their listing agreement has been finalized. So we completely cut them out, but we don't close until then. But we would want to be careful on that they didn't try to come back and say that they were owed something. But anyway, at the end of the day, we just need to work through it farther. Any other questions, guys? Before I'm going to look for, I got a couple more calls. Also, shoot, hour and 20 minutes, we'll be ready to call Corey's lead again. What else? I had a couple seller finance ones. You know what? Or we can go 2 things. Let's get everybody else's feedback. I've got one that I could call from my lead list. We also have our No One Left Behind team calls. There are a lot of agent type calls, and I don't mind making those for everybody to learn. So you guys tell me, you guys want to go with No One Left Behind, like agent calls? Like these are typically deals that are low equity, but they have good loans that were 2 or 3%, or do you guys want me to call one of my deals that might be a potential Revive method? You guys let me know. And then I'm going to give you the link here, Dan. Problems.
I have another question.
Go for it.
Okay, so I had a seller call me from my back window decal, and come to find out she's getting a divorce. But the bad thing is, anyways, it's a 7% interest rate, a VA loan, and the mortgage is $2,400 a month, but it only rents for $18 to $2,000 a month in that area. I tried to get them to get with Matthew Potter to try and do a short sale. They just bought it last summer. And I also was told by another person who did a short sale that it would need to be listed. So I contacted an agent friend of mine, and I kind of just passed it over. And I told them that I was going to take and get them with my agent friend and everything, and that Matthew was going to be the one. They had his phone number. Well, they were living together, and now apparently the wife moved out. So I don't know if I should insert myself again and try and figure something out.
Yeah. I'll answer this one quicker, and then I'm going to hop to the other one. But yeah, I think that's a good idea, Michelle, following up. I haven't done a ton of short sales, but yeah, I would definitely follow back up and see what's going on with it, and if there's another option. And yeah, for sure.
Because they're also come November 1st, $12,400 in arrears.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, follow up on that one. Let me know how it goes. Okay, really quick, the votes. Looks like we got Revive method, Revive. Ooh, Cynthia likes agent calls. Vote for your own call. Call your own leads. But you guys are happy. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Hey, Dustin, appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for the kind words. And hey, if some of you guys do pop off, yeah, do me a favor. the biggest thing you guys could do is, well, two things. If you guys could go post, I will post that one with the links you guys need. But if you guys could go share like what your big takeaways were, like if you want to share what about the Revive method, what you learned and why you feel like it's helpful. Like I want more people to go watch this recording, and even better, I'm hoping more people come next week. So if you guys can help bring more people next week, like tag people, go message guys. It's always a good way to go engage more in this community. Because if you guys haven't figured this out, there's a lot of good parts of this community. One of my favorites is like connecting with other people. There's no better community at that. So, but you got to start meeting people. So a great way that I would propose for you guys is like go out, and what would help me tremendously and hopefully help them is be like, hey, what Zooms have you been doing? Hey, what have you been up to in sub 2? And you can be like, hey, I've been going to this Zoom and this is what I learned. Like I recommend you coming next week. And then as you guys know, I do a challenge every week. So whoever brings the most people, I do a 30-minute, we track that, which by the way, at the beginning, if you guys brought new people, be sure you put it in the chat, because last time somebody put it on the private chat and we couldn't track it. But if anybody brought new people today, make sure you let us know. But anyway, each week, whoever brings the most new people, I do like a one-on-one 30 minutes with. So anyway, if you guys could help me out, posting, sharing what your takeaways were. And I always appreciate the kind words, guys. It does mean a lot. It means a ton to me. But the biggest meaningful thing is when you guys can go and share like a big, like what, I don't know, what I probably take the most pride in is when somebody's like, hey, this is what I learned. And this is how it's helping me, right? That's why I invest my time in this is A, I like doing deals with you guys, and B, I just love helping you guys do more. So anyway, if you guys could share that on Facebook, I would much appreciate it. All right, back to the calls. Here we go. I got one that this is from my pipeline. This one is in Cheyenne. I'm going to show you guys. And I guess to show you that I wouldn't ask you to do something that I wouldn't do. Nobody go and snake any of my CRM deals, but I'll pull it up. We use Resimply, by the way, that's our CRM. So here's kind of the notes, guys. I should move this over here. So I kind of wrote these all down to the two, but basically this is my contractor went out there. This house needs a lot. He's around 125 to 150K time and material, needs to be gutted. There's a structural damage in the kitchen, but it has potential. And then my agent says, okay, it's worth 325. Okay. So you know what? Here we go, guys. Let's think about this in terms of the Revive method. All right. I should have taken a picture of that before I erased it, but that's all right. We got it all on the video. So guys, as we're thinking about this from like a Revive method, let me stop sharing just for a second. And I'll show you guys kind of how I'm thinking. And hopefully this guy's supposed to answer. I know I went over a little bit. Let me stop sharing. Oh, actually, I'm not sharing yet. Never mind. So you guys can see my whiteboard. Okay. So thinking about this, guys, he owes, okay. And I actually wrote this down here too. He owes 135,000. So this is what the seller owes, 135K, right? His payment is $1,450 a month. Is that way too, can you guys see that okay? Everybody see my whiteboard? Okay, so right here, so 135, I need just a brighter color. Okay, so 135, all right? So we're thinking that let's call it, to be conservative, my guy said 125 to 150. Let's say the rehab is all in at 150, right? So we're sitting here at 285, oops, that's a 200, can't draw. So that is 285,000, if I did my math right. That's 285,000 of like all-in cost, right? But my notes say that this guy, he wants, well, the ARV, sorry, my ARV down here, we'll put that in blue here. Our ARV is 325 to 350, okay? So what do you guys think? What do you think about that gap right here? Is that enough margin, you guys think, to go do a fix and flip? Is that worth the risk? Would you guys be all in at 285 with an ARV of 325 to 350? What do we think? Too risky? That's right. Cynthia says no. Francisco, no. I agree. That's way too risky. So we're going to have to either de-risk this with the Revive method, and he's going to have to take a little bit less, or we're just going to have to say thanks, but no thanks. Okay. But here's the other thing too, is I saw in my notes, he wanted, let me go back to it. So this seller, his as-is price, you guys probably won't be shocked here. He's asking for 200K as is, right? So if I go back here, so he wants 200K as is. All right. So no way he's getting 200K. Well, yeah, I think 200K as is way too high based on how much money that needs. Okay. So, I mean, honestly, even if I took over even if I took over his mortgage, I mean, looking at these numbers, it might be a little too thin. Because this 135 is his, yeah, did I do that right? Yeah, that's how much he owes. So this is going to be kind of tight anyway. So, but I mean, would I do this deal if I could take over his loan and then I could maybe get my cost down a little bit and maybe stay under maybe 250,000 and then have this and have no money down and all I do is the rehab? Could potentially be there. So this one is a little bit thin, guys. And honestly, I'm going to probably tell the guy that, dude, you're about to be underwater based on how much work this property needs. But anyway, let's see what happens. Because as you know, that rehab budget is a very big conservative round number. If we call him, we might be able to drill down and get that down just a little bit. But anyway, his name's Scott. 5-4. But I'm going to be pretty direct with him, knowing that this deal is he's not going to get 200K. There also is a fire at this house. So says it was a
Your call has been
house fire.
forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not. Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person.
All right, let's try my other lead. I got 2 of them. All right. So next one. Appreciate your guys' participation. Everybody's dialed in today. Okay. Oh, I wonder if this. Oh yeah, I think this is it. Monique. Wait. Oh, I actually have a agent call that's coming up in 1 minute. So maybe we'll try him. I want to look at this other revive method. Okay. Indian paintbrush. Here it is. Arthur. Oh yeah. Okay. I've been meaning to call this guy for a while. I'm going to skip all the notes maybe and let's just get rolling and see if this guy answers. But I will try to give it to you guys real quickly. Wait, I think I am sharing my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay. Probably why it's going so dang slow. Okay. So as you guys can see, this guy, I mean, when he initially came in, elderly, let me go to the notes. Okay, so here's my agent, right? Big project, 3 shops on the property, a lot going on. Let's see. You guys can see all the different little notes here. There would be a lot of things that come up. Newer windows. ARV on this is likely in line with his ideal price. So ARV is 525 to 550. House is not great, but the shops could help with that. I'd expect 75K to achieve this 525 house. House is being neglected. Creative options could be the only win. Okay, cool. As you can see, our agents know how to work with us. They're like, all right, here's your creative deal. Okay, so I'm going to write that one down again, though, just to illustrate it for you guys. So if we're saying ARV is 525, right? Is what I think he said, to get up to, to 525 to 550. Because this could be a revive method or innovation, or maybe it's just a true innovation. But and then he's saying we would need 75K, right? So to get there, we need to put in 75,000. So we can kind of work back on the math here. And then does it say what he owes? It looks like we don't have what he owes on it. But and does it say it has a price that he's wanting? Okay, here we go. Of course, he wants 525. He wants what it's worth. Owns it free and clear. So this could still be an option, right? There might be an option where we could go put some money in there, get it fixed up and do it. So anyway, yes, we have so many pages. Yeah. Yes, I do, Chris. Too many. All right. That's why I'm so slow on the computer. Oh, our guy just called back. Well, let's call this guy first, and then we'll go back to my one guy I just tried to call. 307-6631. Judith, my lead, my main acquisition person, she goes, Casey, you got to call Larry. She thinks I could work my magic, but we'll see. See if we can get anybody to answer today. That would be nice.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hey, Larry, it's Casey Gregersen giving you a call in the house there in Cheyenne. Yeah, I'd love to help you. I know you've been talking with Judith. Pretty interesting house. So give me a shout when you have a minute. Thanks, Larry. Bye. Try one more time. We spent too much time learning about novations today. And these guys I was supposed to call these guys like an hour ago. All right. Well, I'll text Larry. Okay. Texted Larry. All right. But the other guy just called me back. So the first guy I was just talking about that had that narrow margin. We're going to go back to him.
Hello.
Hey, Scott. It's Casey Gregersen. How are you?
Oh, I'm surviving. How are you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Busy Friday, but busier than usual. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, I'll jump in. I won't take too much of your time. I'm sure you're busy like I am. But I know you've been working with, were you talking with Judith on this one?
Yes, I was.
Okay, cool. Got it. So I'll tell you where we're stuck, and then you tell me if you think it's still worth us kind of getting creative or doing something, because I don't know, that's what makes us different than most other buyers is we've got some pretty creative options to help. But I guess where I'm struggling is because you owe about $135,000 on the house. Is that roughly right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I mean, my guy, I'll be honest with you, man, straight shooter. When my guy walked it, just based on all that work that needs to be done, he thought it was like 150,000 at work. So, I mean, does that seem way off to you or crazy?
I mean, that's definitely possible.
Okay. So just like just doing easy math, right? I mean, 135 plus 155, we're at 285. And my agent and I did some comps and I kind of just looked at what things are selling for. We think we could sell it around 325 to 350. So like, even if I just took over your loan, like that's still not, I mean, I know that might seem like a big profit to you, but like by the time I pay an agent and all the risk in that size of flip, like,
Yeah.
like that's like less than 40K. And well, okay, if I actually take out my commissions, I'm probably at like 20K. There's just not a whole lot of room. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of tell you where I was at and maybe put our heads together if I'm missing anything.
No, I mean, that seems to be kind of the consensus, is that it'd probably be somewhere in there. I think my best offer on it right now is like 150. So I probably should have took it, but I really didn't want to. I think I'm gonna see if I can get some more out of insurance and try and get them to fix it.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. I mean, will the insurance, where are you at with that? Because if that would change things, like if I could get the insurance to help a little bit, but what's the latest there?
I'm working on it. I mean, I've got some out of it, but not nearly enough to fix it right. So
Yeah.
trying to get some quotes together for them right now. See what things are gonna actually cost.
Okay. But I guess the insurance hasn't paid out anything yet on the fire?
They have, but not a lot.
Oh, okay. Got it. I mean, okay, I know you would never want to do this, but maybe if you did get paid a little bit, I'm just wondering if even if you brought a little bit of money, like say I just took over your loan and then, because what I'm thinking is if I took over your loan at 135 and I go put all the money in to fix it up, I mean, I could have my guy go back with a sharper pencil and try to get that rehab down. But yeah, I mean, if we could get it, I don't know, what do you think about that? Would that potentially make sense? And then we just flip it. So I would take over your payments. I would get in there, fix it all up, and I would sell it as fast as I could because time is money for me, right? The longer I hold that thing, the more it's going to burn a hole in my wallet too. What are your thoughts?
Understandable. I'll probably end up passing on that for now. I think I'm just going to see if I can get insurance to fix it and then put it on the market myself, more than likely.
Okay. Oh, but you're thinking insurance might do more than they already might write a bigger check?
Yeah, I think they're going to do more still.
Okay. Got it. And that changes thing, right? Like, let's say that, you know what, that might be our answer. If you could get the insurance to write a bigger check, and if they need to pay us, I could run it through my construction company, and be completely legit. There might be an option there where like, let's say that they gave you 50K and then it helps me to get a little bit, honestly, that's going to help me because I'm really thin at 135, but you could keep a majority of that. There might be something there, and then we go fix, because as you know, if we actually fix it all up and get it ready to be on the market, that's what's going to get us the most cash, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's where the money would be at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't we look into that? Why don't you see what you find out? I mean, at least you kind of know that. I mean, if you were to tell me, hey, Casey, you could take over the loan and do your thing at 135, I would, like I say, I would have my contractor sharpen his pencil a little bit and see if there's some ways we could save. But if that doesn't work, I think the better option is see if the insurance will do part of it. And then we'll go, unless you want to go do the whole flip and manage all that yourself, which assume you don't, like we'd love to do that. That's what we do every day.
Yeah. All right, well, definitely have to consider it.
Okay. Okay.
See where insurance gets back to me at.
Nice. Yeah. When do you think you'll hear back from them?
Hopefully this next week sometime, I would hope.
Okay.
But seems like everybody's in Florida right now dealing with all the issues down there.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. The adjuster that originally came from Thermopolis, he's down in Florida now. So
okay.
Nice. Trying to deal with everybody from a distance right now.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's totally fine. So let's do that. In the meantime, I'm going to have Judah send you a little, what we call our LOI, a letter of intent. So at least you'll kind of have something in writing you could kind of refer back to, and we'll stay in touch. Let me know as soon as you talk to that insurance company, and we can, because that'll adjust all the numbers if they obviously can help out.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Scott. Bye. Okay. What do you guys think? So that's a good example of guys like where you just like in the past, I would have tried to like make something out of nothing. And it's just like, just be straight up with them. Be like, hey, here are the numbers. What am I supposed to do here? Because then it becomes like relatable. Like I talk about this book a lot, but Never Split the Difference. What he always says in that book, it's one of the best negotiating books. And he goes, you're always asking, how am I supposed to do this? Right? Scott, how am I supposed to take over your loan and put 150,000 into it and make 20,000 if I'm lucky? Like, how am I supposed to do this? What am I supposed to do? Help me. Right? Then they start to solve the problem for you. And that's when he immediately, when I did that, he's like, he immediately threw out, I got an offer at 150. I should have took it. Right? I didn't know that piece of information. He also threw out the insurance. He's still trying to get insurance money. Right? So those are just ways to provoke him and get him to talk more. Do you guys have, let me go back to the, see if anybody else had any questions. Keep me in your back pocket just in case. Save the number and give me a call either way. Yep. Love it. Cool. I know a couple people that jump. All right. I'm going to work a couple no one left behind calls because our team's been working their tail off there. So I'm going to call a couple agents. So you guys whoever wants to hang on, you guys are welcome to. I think Corey challenged me today to see if I could go for 4 hours straight so we can get to his call. I hope they answer. We'll see. I'll keep going as long as my kids are out of school and my wife's under control. So, and you know what? That's what closers do, right? Closers just call sellers. And I'll tell you what, yesterday I've been working, we raise a lot of private money and I was doing other like stuff with my projects, but I haven't been closing as much and spent as much time closing deals this week. And I'll be honest with you, last night, I'm like, I felt not defeated, but I felt like, all right, not productive, maybe is the word. And I'm like, man, I need to be as a closer and one of the leading, like I'm the number one closer in my company. Obviously, you feel like if you're not closing deals, you're not bringing in new revenue. So, but I've got a great team now that does deals, and now we'll have my great in-house team, and now our no one left behind team. Those guys have been hustling, finding deals. So pretty exciting. Yes. Dan, send me send me an email, Dan, and anybody else. If you guys want to help set appointments, work leads. I will tell you guys this. This is really cool. There's been so many benefits of doing this Zoom for like, we got to be getting up to week 16 or 17. But what I love is now, and if you guys are on my daily sales call, I have like 3 students that are from that call that are now helping. Ashley, who you've seen, she's helping us out a bunch. She's helping us with our dispo. She's helping us like find agents, find buyers, right? She's been helping. If you guys know Keith's been working on our acquisitions. And then I also invited several people from my No One Left Behind team. They came in yesterday to our call to see like how we work leads, how we work our system. So anyway, if you guys are ever interested in helping out, please do. I'll share my email again. Just shoot me an email. That's probably easiest. But if you're not, follow me on Instagram as well. I'll give you that. Let me pop this in here before I make the next call. All right. So follow me on Instagram. I put out a ton of stuff we're doing, and hopefully it can help you guys. And then, but if you're interested in like working leads, shoot me an email. I just put that in the chat. Okay, so now we're going to go to the No One Left Behind challenge. All right, should start from the top. I've had a couple cool calls this week. I'm not going to lie, I might skip over the ones in California. So if you're booking leads for me in California, I love you, but I don't love California leads for many reasons. Okay, needs cash fast. Let's look at this guy in Kansas City. I do like Kansas City though. Okay, here's the notes on this one, guys. Hot lead, needs to close fast, waiting on PITI, bridge loan, needs to be paid for. Total bridge is 477. Has a loan where it's interest only payments. Didn't know how to steer the conversation because I don't know what a bridge loan is. All right. Anybody else not know what a bridge loan is? That's a really good question. A bridge loan is essentially there's Francisco. We'll have to figure out this guy's situation. You know what? Let me share my screen for you guys so we can show you this deal. But essentially a bridge loan is like a short-term loan to get you over the bridge, right? You're in a short-term, you have some sort of financing you want to get to the bridge. The other side of the bridge, guys, is long-term financing where you can hold a property, right? And that's like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, like secondary market, good debt, right? That's like lower interest rate, longer amortization, a much lower payment, right? But sometimes people can't get there because the house needs to be fixed up, or maybe they have bad credit, whatever it might be. So you'll have a bridge loan to try to get you over the bridge to better long-term financing. So who was that? Was that Ernie? Who made this one? Ernie, if you're still on the call, Ernie's on a lot of our calls, but that's what that one is. But anyway, let's call this guy and check this one out. Oh, interesting. It looks like I was expecting a fixer upper. All right, let's call this one. So seller's name.
Actually, don't call that one. Don't call that one. There's another number. There's an advisor that reached out to me today.
Oh, okay. That was the agent.
That's on our team. Yeah.
Fire it away. You got it?
816-210-2305.
In the nick of time, Ernie. I was just wondering if you're here.
No, I'm here.
All right. You know that person's name?
No, I don't. I don't know yet. He just told me that, or they just told me that they're the advisor. They just texted me. They said that I think the real estate agent referred this person.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll
Okay.
say hi, Mr. Advisor.
This is Nick.
Hey, Nick. Good. I'm glad you said your name. I was about to call you Mr. Advisor because I was told to give you a call in this house, but we didn't have your first name.
Oh, my name is Nick.
Cool, man. So yeah, I'm calling about that house on 15600 East 76th. So actually, maybe I'll let you go first. My name's Casey, and I think you were working with one of my teammates, Ernie, about it. You recognize that house?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And are you the agent or what's your role in this one?
So I'm actually one of their financial advisors. Like I help them with a unique mortgage on the two properties they currently have liens against. So they were just curious why an offer wasn't made, like why you're asking what they owe on it, like why any of that matters.
Okay, good question. And I'm glad I'm talking to you. And thankfully, I'm talking to you, Nick, and not the agent. So, all right. So why it matters? Well, yeah, I guess I could explain that, then I can see if it's even worth your time. But would you rather me explain how the deal works or actually just see if it even works based on the numbers before I waste your time?
No, I'd like you to explain how the deal works.
Okay, sweet. So I'm just listening. I see you guys are listed at 465, right? And okay, backing up a little bit. So what I do is I buy properties in all conditions, right? But one thing I've been doing lately, so I'm a fix and flipper, I buy and hold. But one thing I'm doing a lot lately is because rates are still so high. What I do is I try to look for houses that were bought several years ago when rates were low and try to find people who are selling that can't sell. Maybe the house is sitting for whatever reason, maybe just need some work or whatever it is. But what I'll do is I'll step in, I'll buy the property with the loan and the loan stays in place and I take over the payments. Because the way I look at it is if I could turn around and rent it for more than the payment, like I'll add it to my rental portfolio, right? But what makes that work though is they got to have an affordable payment. And that's what I was going to kind of get into is figuring out how much is their payment, what is their debt? Because a lot of people, that's just like, they don't want to be landlords. They don't know the first thing, how they would even start to do that, right? They just want to, they want to get out because the payment is just bleeding them dry every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that is not their scenario. They need to fully sell.
Got it. Okay. So they're just, because I saw the bridge loan thing. So it sounds like they're trying to get out of debt on another property. Is that right?
They need to sell this property pretty much at asking price.
At asking. Okay. Got it. And you guys have been on the market 35 days. Okay. And do they have, okay. Yeah, because assuming they must have some equity in this because they need to sell at that price so they can get that equity out and put it towards something else, more or less.
Yes, you saw that it has a bridge loan on it. So yes, they need to pay off a bridge loan.
Got it. Okay. Oh, it's a bridge loan probably across multiple assets or something. Okay.
Yep. Cross collateralization.
Nah, it makes sense. I'm tracking with you. Okay. All right. Yeah, if that's the case and you guys have dropped it, I mean, yeah, because we can always do a cash offer, but it's not going to be, you won't get what you want out of it, or it'd be hard for us to make money. Okay, well, that's helpful. I think we'll probably just have to pass on this one, but I just wanted to check if it was a deal where they could just take over the payments and get rid of that, then we can always help.
No, gotcha, man. I appreciate you. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, and hey, keep me in mind though, if you do, it sounds like you're help with other people. If you ever get somebody who's like, I'm in a bind, especially if it needs work, right? They're like, hey, this house needs work. It's bleeding me dry. We could always take on a project and we do a lot of volume. So save my number if you ever find something like that.
Cool. Sounds good, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Nick. See ya.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. Cool. All right, Ernie, that one makes sense. So yeah, that's one where I think you guys, yeah, I'm sure you didn't know what a bridge loan is, or what do you think, Ernie? Do you think like next time you could just say, hey, ask them, I mean, just basically say what I said, say, hey, the way this works for us is if your payment is low enough for us to be able to rent it out, then we can help you.
Yeah, I can do that.
You know what I mean?
I'll start incorporating that more.
Yeah, and honestly, you could tell he didn't want to share everything about bridge loans. Effectively, what he's saying is, sounds like these guys have a couple different properties and they're underwater or they got to pay whatever. The lender is forcing them to pay, so they need to sell these different properties so they could pay off the loan and maybe that's just because they got to pay off a debt. Maybe it's because they got to refinance a big multifamily, but yeah, they can't take less, unfortunately, and they can't not take.
Okay. Duly noted.
Good question. So I'll make sure I note this one. So closer notes. So I'll put that I call this one won't work since the seller needs all the equity in cash out to pay off another loan. But always good to try to leave on a good note in case a lot of these, like that guy probably does this kind of work for other people and you never know who he might find. Okay. No liens on the property. Let's look at this next one from Ernie. Since I'm going in a random order, but I guess we're rolling the dice. We'll go Ernie since Ernie's on here. Or Ernie, which one do you want me to call next? Should I call this one or you got a better one? No liens on the property while Ernie's coming off mute.
There's one that's like a big multifamily one that I had. Hold on, let me double check.
Ooh, okay. I like this one in Raleigh. Let's call this one on Raleigh while you're waiting.
Okay.
New conventional. So the guy's conventional loan, $1,400 a month. It's Matthew. While we're waiting, Gilbert, bridge loan, if you're still asking again. Bridge loan it's a loan. The bridge is to get you over to long-term financing, right? Often you'll get a bridge loan because you want to get like a 30-year fixed mortgage, or it happens very often in like construction and commercial where you got to go in and do a bunch of renovations to a property and you can't get like a 30-year fixed loan with like really good interest rates. So what you'll do is you'll get a bridge loan to basically allow you to go fix it up. Once you have it all fixed up and stabilized, then you'll go and get the fixed financing or the better terms, like the more long-term finance, right? But you got to get a bridge loan to get you there, because unless you want to go pay all cash and then go get the loan, you do a bridge loan in the meantime. But the bridge loans have high interest, not as good of terms. They're meant to be short-term. But what happens is a lot of times people things never go according to plan, right? And you get stuck and you go over budget, or house doesn't appraise, or contractors are slow, whatever's happening. And then now they're in a bind now. So basically they're saying their bridge loan needs to get paid off so they can, because it was short term, right? So they got to do something. So what they're trying to do is sell a house, it looks like, to pay off their bridge loan. Did you find that other one, Ernie?
Yes, this one
Just give me part to Control F.
It's part of the Adelaide, the Carmichael. Oh, that's California. Hold on. Oh, the Rhode Island one.
I don't mind calling.
Okay.
Hold on, let me go up here. So
let me look a little bit more. Oh, how about that triplex? Did you ever get a call with them? The Donna Huber in Washington, Renton.
Yeah,
there was 2 triplexes. Remember, 2-6 both.
Yep, let's try that guy again. He made tag. What's the address again?
13352 191st Place, SE in Renton, Washington. Okay. And her name is Donna Huber.
Let me go look at my texts. Swore we talked to her. I swore we called her on the last week.
Oh yeah, no, you know what? I just looked at it. She said they signed the contract on it. I'll go down.
That's okay.
Sorry. I think Joel had some good ones. Might want to try Joel's.
Okay.
While I look for one.
Joel, and if Joel's on the call, anybody else from the team that got one that they want to prioritize?
The one around the one I think he had a really scorching one.
Yeah, this one here? Wait, which one?
I don't remember which one it was, but he had a really good one. It might have been, I think it's the triplex, the one on 1701 Northwest 39th Street. This one's a cash offer though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, typically, what's his name highlights the ones in green but I can call that one cash offer needed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look it up. Well, I'll give us a chance to open it up for everybody else. Anybody else have any leads they want to call? Other than I know we got one in 30 minutes with Corey. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free to unmute or pop in the chat.
Oh, you know what? You want to try this one?
Sure.
The 19506 Yannon Road. We need to get more information on the 103 because it's 2 properties. There's another one on Prospector Lane, Moreno Valley. Seller's relocating, open to creative, needs to relocate back to Florida. And then the first one is the Yannon. It's the $75K plus cost to get into their new home.
What's the address again really quick?
19506 Yannon Road, YANAN, in Apple Valley.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we can call this one.
Yeah, there's 2 properties.
Okay, I'm just going to roll through it, see if they pick up rather than doing a full breakdown. Dan's got the jokes coming in. I like it. Keep it fresh.
We're calling Brad Atkins with.
Okay. All right. You know what? Let's do this. Let's wrap it up for today. But with Corey, I'll send you a link. You know what, Corey? Here you go. I'll pop in my cell phone really quick.
I think you showed that already. I took a picture of it.
You did? Okay. Yeah. Send me a text, and then I'm going to send you a link, and then we'll record it for everybody else, because I'm sure everybody else will be curious especially if it goes really well. And then, yeah, we could share that with the rest of the group. And then, yeah, but we'll start that here in about 30 minutes, right?
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody else for hanging in here. Keep bringing deals. So we'll see you guys next week. Next week we'll actually be in Boston at Owners Club for sub 2. So we are going to do a shortened one next week. We're just going to go for an hour, because I'll be in a bunch of cool Owners Club stuff with Pace and them in Boston. But I still wanted to be able to hop on and solve some problems and help you guys out. And hopefully we'll figure out. We might not do a topic next week. We'll probably just do straight calls. So that's what I'll probably challenge you guys with between now and then, bring some calls. Maybe you guys could think about the revive method, that you guys could go, maybe somebody could apply it. I know Corey's got a good one this week. Cynthia had a phenomenal one. So if you guys could bring them for next week, they don't have to be revive method. They could be novation. They could be sub 2, or they could be just a seller that you're just trying to figure out, what the heck can I do for this guy, Casey? Happy to make calls. And as you guys always know, live calls are the best ways to learn. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Appreciate it.
Have fun trick-or-treating there. Take lots of pictures. Want to see the kiddos if you're taking them.
All right. No kids, but I appreciate it. But I will. I'll be there. See you guys.